everybody. Welcome to the 5th episode of the Kanati Way podcast, brought to you again in my cabin. It's always confusing for people, I feel like, because half the time we're in the hunting cabin, and half the time we're in here, this cabin that I actually live in. This one's a little warmer. But either way, we're in upstate New York. We got a couple guests here today. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
How's it going, guys? I am Christian Madolo, and I'm here with my buddy Brandon. So me and Brandon recently started a YouTube channel probably about a year ago, and we're loving it. We're having a great time. We're happy Kevin could have us here on this podcast. We actually just started a podcast ourselves not too long ago, so having a great time. It's fun. We're happy to be here.
I think that this came down to because, what was it, last weekend? We're down at the local watering hole.
Oh, yeah, me and Kevin saw each other at the local watering hole, you could say it. And we were talking about it, and me and Christian have been talking about it for a while. And we bought mics, it's been a while. They took a long time to come in.
Yeah, I think we bought mics like a month ago.
Well, actually, no, that little podcast thing took forever to come in.
Yeah.
But no, saw Kevin down there, and we're like, hey, we're going to start a podcast. And he's like, dude, come up and have one with us. And I was like, for sure, that'd be awesome.
Where can people find this podcast? What's it called? Where can they find it?
Cutting the Distance Outdoors on YouTube, and you can see us on Instagram. Talked about starting a TikTok, so maybe then.
Yeah, we're really taking off. You know, we got a whole total of 127 subscribers right now.
Hey, we got 40.
Please go subscribe so we can all live out our dream.
Yeah, it's funny because we're all, we're from the same area for the most part. You're Tioga?
Yep.
And you're Owego?
Yep.
And you're North Valley? And I'm Owego.
So we got the whole county covered.
Yeah. But it's cool because we're all new to this, trying to... We're not new to the outdoors and this lifestyle, but we're new to making content with it, whether it's podcast or whether it's videos or whatever you're doing. And the really cool thing that I'm realizing about it is how much it brings people together. And we're all just going to talk stories and share information. And it's like there's never ending amount of things to go and talk about with this stuff. And it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. You can pull that mic closer to your face too, and then you don't have to do sit-ups every time you want to talk. I know you don't.
Yeah,
you don't like
his
that
abs are
exercise.
going to be cranking.
No.
There you go. Cool. But I guess let's tell us, you guys, a little bit about your seasons and how it went.
Yeah, so I'll give you a quick background on myself so far. I mean, for now, first. So I've been hunting since I was 8 years old. I'm 23 now, so what is that? I'm not good at math. That's what that is. So over 10 years, we'll go with that. So I've been hunting for a while, and I'm a huge avid hunter. I spend a ridiculous amount of times in the woods. I think this year I probably got 30 plus sits in. Maybe more than that. I've spent a lot of time in the woods this year, and part of that reason is because we're starting to film now, so I'm trying to get content for our YouTube. But I love it, man. And I'm a real big deer hunter. I love hunting turkeys. Turkey is like my bread and butter.
That's what. So I like to tell people I'm very confident in my whitetail skill. I'm a very good bow hunter. Turkeys humble the heck out of me.
They do.
See, no, that's where we're different though, is because we could hunt turkeys all day.
Yeah, I feel like me and Brandon are better. We're better at turkeys than we are at killing.
We gotta hang out more often.
Yeah, dude, we are like the turkey killing.
Dude, I can't kill. I'm. Don't get me wrong. I've killed a lot of turkey in my day, but like the past 2 years, I've been skunked.
Right.
Sorry, but it's funny because it's like. Me and you, like when we hunt together, we butt heads so bad when we're turkey hunting. Yeah. When we're turkey hunting,
like decision making?
Yeah, it's like he's like stop calling, and I'm like, come on, let's get this bird fired up.
Right.
And it's like a perfect balance. Like this year, when you missed that bird, it was like, all right, dude, start calling. But as soon as I started calling, it was like that bird was fired up and coming.
So we'll go over that hunt a little bit. So we were hunting on a property Brandon has permission to hunt on, and like Brandon said, we butt heads, and I thought he was over calling, and the bird was answering us. Actually, you can see that video on our YouTube. We've got a video of it. It's a turkey I missed, and I told Brandon, like, stop calling, he's gonna come in, and he didn't. He hung up, and Brandon started calling again. And he was right, That's a nice part about hunting together, and you bounce ideas off each other.
Do you guys hunt a lot together or not really?
This year we haven't hunted together.
I have a
at
rule.
all.
No one hunts with me this year.
Yeah.
No one
Yeah.
hunts with me this
Well, the
year.
kind of hunting he's been
You
doing
know
this
why.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kind of hunting you've been doing this year, it's not like
Yeah.
you want
Zero room for
but-
mistakes.
But I learned most of what I know about hunting from him. So like
Tell them your
hunted a
background
lot
just
with
real
him.
quick. I mean, audience has heard it. These guys have it.
Yeah. So I mean, I went from being like a
Say it.
you're
Say it.
always putting me on the spot, bro. I went from being a rabid vegan
Oh,
to being like
Jesus.
I was
Just a few years ago.
just a few years ago, and then just like a complete lifestyle 180, everything different about me, like from lifestyle to politics to religion, everything's like totally different nowadays. So like I went from not eating any meat for 3 years to like just getting out and hunting. So like he taught me a lot about hunting, and so we hunted a lot together the last couple of years.
Your first deer you ever shot was we were hunting together, and I
Yeah.
handed you my rifle.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have a confident rifle then, and he was actually, I bought an old a Sweet 16 A5,
Yep.
like an old Belgium made one, really old, like awesome, collector's gun.
It's a Browning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I handed that to him, and I was like, you should shoot a deer with this. And it was just open sights. I don't even think it has a sight on it. I don't think, does it have a bead maybe? I don't think it has anything on the
What
barrel.
are you talking about?
My Sweet 16 that I gave it to you to shoot a slug out of to try to shoot a deer.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But he ended up not seeing much or anything that year, and then we were walking across a cornfield, and we saw some doe out there, so I handed him my Browning BLR 308, and he shot a doe.
Right.
And that was the first time where you were like, why didn't it just like, he expected the deer to like basically explode. He's like, he took a 308, why did
I
it
expected
not?
it to drop instantly until it ran off, and I was like, wait, did I miss? Like,
Right.
what happened?
They're
Right.
tough animals.
But it
Yeah.
piled up about 60 yards away, and he got that deer.
Yeah, it's funny. I can't meet anybody around him because I go from being Nate to 5 minutes in. I go from
Tell
being
your story.
Nate to being former vegan Nate,
We
and I could just feel the judgment.
when we became friends, he was just very, very into that lifestyle
Yeah.
of veganism.
How long?
Like 3, maybe 4 years, something like that. I mean, I was a yoga teacher. I mean, I was whole 9 yards, everything. Yeah.
Straight weird.
Now you got
Straight up, dude, straight up weirdo. Yeah.
But he went on a hunt with me. He went on a hunt with me when he was vegan still,
Yeah.
and it was cool because you basically were like, it's towards the end of your veganism, like a year I think before the end of it, and you reached out to me and you said, listen, I don't like the way the world's going.
Yep.
It's scaring me, and I'm aware that if I can't grocery shop, I can't be a vegan.
Right, exactly.
And
Like,
so
it's
you
such
said I
it's
would-
such a privilege to eat that way, right? Like
Right.
if the grocery store's closed, it's like, what am I gonna do?
I mean, we honestly have saw a little bit of that this year with the food, the
Yeah,
shortage.
exactly.
You go into Walmart and they got nothing.
Right.
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 What a better time to be a hunter. you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big part of what drives me to be a hunter. It was from day one, and it is to this day. I mean, I got 2 doe, and I'm happy. I don't really need a buck. A buck's nice, but that's like icing.
Yeah, I mean, a good
I
deer-
really hunt for the meat. At the end of the day. Yeah.
And so he said that year, he had reached out to me and just said, Kevin, I know the way the world's going, it scares me, and if need be, I want to have these skills. Can I go on a hunt with you?
That's cool.
Mhm.
But so I brought him into the woods, and I had a double set, and we sat in these 2 hang-out stands that are in the same tree. And it was funny because you had later admitted to me that you purposely kind of talked the whole time we were in the tree. We
Did
just
I
had,
say that?
Yeah, we had a good conversation in the tree. That time it was before you went to Virginia,
Yeah.
and so you were talking to me about going to Virginia
Yeah.
on a rally down there, and so we had a good because he's always been way more into like government things
Yeah.
than I'm not very educated on that. So
Yeah.
he's telling me about it and stuff, and so after that hunt we didn't see anything, and you told me that later on you said something along the lines of, I tried to carry a conversation because I figured if we were talking, a deer wouldn't come by. You're like, I wanted
I
to
don't
go out
remember
there.
that, but I do remember feeling like I'm
I
out
hope I
here
don't
and I'm
see-
willing to be here, but like I'm not excited about that.
Right.
If it happens,
Right.
I'm not looking forward to it.
Right,
Yeah.
seeing a kill.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so that was the first time. And then fast forward, he was came around and was like, I think I'm gonna start eating meat, and if I'm gonna
That's a
do
really
it.
cool story. I
Mm.
wish more people would give it the chance. You know?
We were even going to start a podcast back then called Hippie and a Hick.
Yeah.
And he said to me, I'm going to wait. I'm going to...
Yeah. We had a logo made and everything. It was awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was a great name and everything. And he was like, I'm going to change your mind and you're gonna go vegan someday.
It's funny, we were hanging out one day and he goes, what'd you say? You go,
I won.
I won. Yeah, you go, I
What are
won.
you talking about? And I was like, no, you're a Hick.
Yeah, it's just the hick and the hick now. Yeah.
No, it's really
That's
cool
awesome.
you did that because it's really easy as if you're an avid hunter, it's kind of like frustrating sometimes to go out with a new hunter, because they don't know what they're doing and you got to teach them, and it's easy to just be like, screw this.
I love it. Honestly,
Yeah.
mentoring,
Yeah.
I love it. And so I don't know about your guys' past. I heard you say in your guys' podcast that your grandfather taught you rather than your dad.
Yep.
And was it like your dad who taught you?
My uncle, yeah.
Your uncle?
Yeah.
My dad taught me everything I know. He doesn't have any of that.
Right. And
So
that's-
everything he's known, and he's a good hunter
And I
now.
feel like that's our job as hunters,
He's better than hunters that have been in his woods for 30 years
Yeah.
hunting too. He had a situation this year with a run-in with a guy.
Oh, I remember that podcast.
Did you hear that? Long story
yeah.
short, the guy was
Yeah.
like, I've been hunting for 30 years. I've never worried about wind.
And I'm there, this is my third season, I'm like, and you think there's no deer on this hill?
Yeah.
Like, you put that together maybe, man.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, let's go in and tell us about how your guys' season's been.
It's been a pretty good season, This year, every year we really dive in and throw out tons of trail cameras. But this year, I had a good season. I killed a buck in the early season. I had trail camera pictures of him, and I was lucky enough to get a shot at him one of the first few days bow
It was
season.
very early season, right?
Yeah, it was
Very
I think it was October 5th. And I generally have really good luck in the early season.
Did you kind of get upset when you're like, oh, I'm happy
You
you had
did.
it,
Yeah,
but you're like,
yeah.
my season's, I gotta wait till November
Definitely.
19th.
I actually
now.
went out and bought
Oh.
my Pennsylvania
Yeah.
license.
Did you hunt?
Oh, wow.
I
yeah.
did, yep. I hunted PA, didn't
Nice.
have much luck because I didn't do any scouting, There's this piece of property that was part of the farm that I hunt, and they own thousands of acres, and I'm super blessed to be able to hunt all that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
And they've got 150 acres in Pennsylvania. So I went out there a few times, didn't see much, saw a lot of good sign, but
Right.
didn't have the time to scout. So, but yeah, no, we've had a good season, seen a lot of deer. I pretty much went out with our other buddy Nick most of the rest of the season. I was really disappointed I wasn't gonna be able to hunt the rut.
Right.
I look forward to that every year.
It's always just a week or two before rifle, and
Yeah.
it's the best.
Oh,
Bow
yeah.
season rut it's
It's the time to be in the woods.
I don't know how to explain it better than like that's the best time to hunt.
You're just on your toes the whole time.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Just things are running left and right, and you hear bucks grunting and fighting, and like, oh, dude, it's exciting.
Yeah. So me and Brandon didn't really hunt a lot together this year. We don't typically. He hunts his grandparents a lot, so we were both doing a lot of self-filming. But
You filmed for him tonight, though. He had his slip up.
Oh,
Oh, yep. So we were hunting.
That was bad.
That was actually the day after I shot my buck. The same
it
tree.
really?
Yep. The day
Oh
after.
yeah, no shit.
On the same field right
Yep,
there, right?
same field.
Same tree.
And we were both talking. We're like, what are the chances this happens? And
Well-
a buck came out early, and he got a chance.
I didn't even want to sit there because remember you're like, dude, pick where you want to sit, whatever. And we had to sit there because his mount was there, so he hangs his tree stand on a mount.
Mhm.
But I didn't want to sit there. I was like, there's no way, dude. Like I want to sit up here where this does came
Were
out.
you saying no way because he just killed a deer out of that spot?
Yeah, that and to like we're saying, like we always butt heads. I like to be on that. Like, see, where I hunted, I never hunted fields. Like it was always
Thick timber and
thick
stuff.
pines or open hardwoods.
And you said apple orchards and stuff.
apple
right? Oh,
orchards.
dude,
like
they're the money.
These guys pick on me for hunting apple orchards. I killed so many damn buck out of there.
Of
dude.
course.
That's the thing we pick
That's
out.
why I
on-
got 2 bucks my first year hunting, and it was it wasn't an orchard, but there was like some apple trees.
I think it's the same
in
thing,
the
just
middle of the woods,
natural
and
apple orchard.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah,
well,
like
we-
3 or 4 trees. in
Or
the
were they
middle of the
planted
woods.
years ago?
They were planted a long time
Yeah.
ago. The only like the shitty thing is like this year. So from what I've learned is like you'll have a great year with apples, and then you'll have a bad year with apples. You know what I mean? But this year, I mean, I
Did
had
you
a-
have good apples this year?
No,
None,
last year
right?
was
None.
I don't
none.
know.
Did you have
Like,
acorns this year?
yeah, we had acorns on the other side of the road, but we never hunted.
What about
It's
you?
always alternating for
Who
me.
was saying that? We were just
I
talking
either
about that.
I don't
Yeah,
remember,
we
but I
just
either have a ton.
Puppy's joined the podcast.
I either have a ton of acorns and no apples, or other way around. And this year was acorns, no apples.
So you had acorns?
Yeah.
See, some people I was talking to when up there hunting in Canada, no acorns at all.
None at all.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's weird because Isn't there's some acorns that deer love and some that they hate, right?
Yep, white oaks.
White oaks. So, no, I had that big mess up there with the doe and the buck, and I'll blame the buck on myself, but the doe was kind of like, I don't know, man. New bow, like I said, new bow, new problems. But
Yep.
so I shot that buck, that 8-point in the orchard there. He's 35 yards. I kept on hearing grunts. I'm like, where is that coming from? Look in the back of the orchard. Here he comes. So I sit in the saddle. I got 2 shooting lanes. He's standing in the shooting lane, facing me, looking right at me. I got a perfect wind blowing right into the swamp. I'm like this, and I'm like trying to record, but it's so cold. It was the day before Halloween. It was about 26 degrees, my truck said. I should ask you this, but my camera batteries, like, I don't know if they froze or something, but my camera would turn on, but it would not flicker over. It didn't have enough battery to flip over. So I got to figure it out for next year. But I watch him come out in that shooting lane, wait, and he finally settles down and comes out chasing that doe again. And as soon as he came to that shooting range, pulled back, let it go. I called him, and I get worked up, like real work. Not during the moment, but after, like really bad. Called him, talked to him. He's like, hey man, I'm getting 2 stands out of the woods, wait for me. It's like, all right, I'm not gonna wait for you, but no. I get down after a half an hour or so, and I look at the arrow, and I'm like, shit, I just got shot this deer. How? Like, how does this even happen? He took off and he stopped and punched up, so I knew something was wrong. And I just learned this year that was a gut shot. I've done that a couple of times, but Kevin kind of gave me reinsurance this year that's like,
Yeah.
it happens. Like, don't let anybody tell you that it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And
the best hunters, man, make mistakes or have bad shots. And that's bow hunting in general.
Yeah.
That's bow hunting. I mean, anyone can throw crosshairs on a deer, and people still make mistakes doing that as well.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to bow hunting, you can put all the practice in the world, and I'm sure that you do. And you got a new bow this year, right?
Yeah.
And you flung arrow after arrow on I bet. And you can be confident with that, but at the end of the day, you're shooting archery. You can't. There's no guarantee with that, and it happens, and it's gut wrenching.
Oh,
no
yeah.
pun intended.
It was bad.
Yeah.
He'll tell you, like, I was sincerely upset. Like, got shot that deer, we followed blood. The blood was so good because it came in behind his ribs and came out perfect, right behind his back shoulder.
You had
just too low.
Yeah.
Complete pass through, just too low.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we had so much blood, was it was too low. And it was a lethal shot. Shoot a deer in the guts, it's gonna die. But
Eventually, yeah.
And we went out and looked for it, and my eyes, and he'll vouch for this, are awful in the dark. Like, I can't see 2 feet in front of
Did
me.
you bring a dog in?
No, I actually found it.
Yeah.
Oh, you found it?
Yep, so we went and tracked it, and we lost blood for a minute, and then we were with his brother. He picked up blood, and I just walked through this really thick shit. I just followed a deer run, and I found him laying down in the ditch, but he was still alive.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I called Brandon. I'm like, Brandon, get
Wait, how
over
much
here."
longer was this?
That was 8 hours after, but my
Okay.
dad was like, go in there and find the deer. But I
Yeah.
was like, I had been watching Hunter X podcasts. I love those guys.
Yeah.
Like 24 hours. Lead that deer for 24 hours. He'll be dead the next day. It was cold enough. It was super cold.
Mm-hmm.
He found the deer. I knew he was going to be bedded in there. I told you, like, literally he's in the bedding area.
When you found it, it was bedded?
Yeah, he was
Bed-
bedded down, and I
Was he in water?
No.
No.
Actually, was there water? It was like a little stream, kind of.
There's no water
No
that
water
runs
in it.
through there.
It was like a
No.
little ditch. And I called Brandon. I screamed. I'm like, Brandon, I got it. He's over here. He was definitely hurt. And when I found him and laid eyes on him, he started to tremble, like he was going to get up and run. So I backed off. I saw Brandon. I'm like, he's right there. And I thought Brandon saw it. I'm like, draw back the bow, slowly walk up there and put another arrow in. And he thought he was further away than he actually was. So he walked up on him and he took off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took off, ran down, and we lost him. We had 4 dudes out there looking for him because I wanted to either find him or bump him.
Was that his first bed?
Yeah, that was his first
And
bed.
they say with a gut, if you jump them out of their first bed, they will just walk till they die.
Right.
Yeah.
The walk, we had a situation a couple years ago was all. My buddy shot his target buck that it was running with this buck all summer. They were, running mates all summer. And he had the 2 of them in front of him. and he chose the one that he wanted to shoot, and he shot it, and it ended up being a gut shot. Like, the thing didn't even run. Like, it took the arrow, and it just hunched.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just, like, didn't move. And he went to knock another arrow as it started, and it just walked off the field, and it bedded down on the edge of the field. Gave it 16 hours before we even went, like, saw it sit down, saw it lay down. 16 hours, went back, bumped it, took off, never found that deer. I found it a month later on opening day of rifle because I ran into another guy in that property who, it was, I think, my first or second year hunting that property, and he didn't know that I was going to be out there, and we kind of butted heads a little bit. And so we kind of, made an agreement. I'm going to go down here to the area I've never been. And I walked down there, and, fortunately I ended up finding this buck. And I texted him that day and was like, sent him a picture of the dead head. It was completely skulled out by then.
Oh, yeah.
He shot it on like the second day of bow season. I found it on opening day of rifle. So it's like a month and a half later.
Mm-hmm.
I sent him a photo of the head, and he jumped out of his tree stand, came down the hill, and met me at the truck. And it was like, he tagged it right there on the spot. He was so thankful. But we looked everywhere for that thing.
Yeah.
It's like, if you bump him out of that bed.
I'm surprised you found it, honestly.
Yeah. So I texted Neil Lewis there.
Mm-hmm. He's my neighbor.
Yeah, and he was like more than happy. He's like, yeah, come on out. Had some issues with that whole situation with his family, and was like, all right, man, like, do you think you know where he would have gone? Like, I don't know any other bedding areas. Like, I don't hunt on that hill. And he's like, look at the water. I don't think he would go to the water, he said, if he was hurting. And I was like, dude, he didn't look like he was, when he ran away, he was out of it.
Yeah,
he was
moving
gone.
good. He wasn't even limping or
No. And
that was about a day later?
8 hours.
No, that was when we bumped him out of the first bed.
Wow.
He completely backed out, whatever, and the next morning, me and my brother went out there, and I walked the whole brush lot in the back hill, everything. That deer went 100 yards and died.
So you eventually
from where you bumped him?
Yeah, from where we bumped him, and he died.
So the total of only really like 200 yards.
Yeah.
So how much longer did you find him after that first bump?
24 hours.
So did you
After
did
not
you
at-
get to collect the deer? Did you get the meat?
No, so that's the thing.
Right.
Coyote.
Oh, they
literally,
got
I
it.
talked to Neil about that. He's like, the only thing I worry about is coyotes. He's like, that deer's dead. He's like, I bet you he's dead within 100 yards. Sure enough, he was dead 100 yards in the creek bottom, torn apart.
You get his head and stuff at least?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's what I mean. Like, so we talked about this on our podcast, is in, like, I feel like, so I don't know if you're anti-hunter before, but, like, I feel like we care so much more than the anti-hunter does about the animals. Because I was sincerely
1000%.
upset about, like, that.
If you're not upset about a situation like that, then I don't think you should be hunting.
Yeah.
At all.
I'm upset listening to it. I haven't been involved in any of this. And I'm like,
Yeah, it was
I'm like,
bad.
Damn, this
dude.
sucks.
That was
That
my
sucks.
first experience with, like, other than that one, but that was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing died though within. He ran for a long time, but the neighbor, he wasn't.
Oh, you're
happy.
talking a couple of years
Yeah.
ago. Yep.
And this one though, man, that stuff hits me hard.
That's a good thing to talk about, really. I think there should be remorse after every kill.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
definitely.
absolutely a sense of pride,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and you should be proud of it.
Mhm.
You
Oh.
made a huge accomplishment. You're feeding your family. You're doing something, awesome. But if you don't have a sense of remorse of, like, I took a life,
Yep.
and there's people that go out there and hunt that really are just trigger happy. They're like, I just want to shoot shit. Like,
Yep. My first bow kill, I talked about this in our podcast too. It was a little scrub buck. He's a 3-point. I was borrowing a bow from a family friend. I was so excited to get out there. It was one of my first years bow hunting. I shot it. I spined him. I climbed down. I walked up to that deer, and just the look on its eyes when I was about to shoot it again, it really hit me hard. It's like,
spining's a tough thing to
Yeah.
do. I'm glad you haven't experienced that yet, because I've
No, I
warned
did.
you.
and I
You spine? Oh, you
One of my
did this
doe.
year.
Yeah,
This
one of my
year.
doe.
Exactly this year.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it after you say.
Yep, and I put another arrow in it, and I literally watched it take its last breath, and
Mhm.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, but before you go into it, spining with archery is a lot different than spining with gun, because
sure.
when you go up to a deer archery spined and you have to put another arrow in, and then you wait like 3 minutes
Yep,
for it to pass.
Yeah, it's gotta be hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it gives you that, like he said, it's like, wow, I just took this life, but
Well, this is the
I'm
thing
gonna
with
feed
people
my
who are
family.
like anti-hunting. It's like, okay, there's two classes of anti-hunters. There's the anti-hunters that don't eat meat, and then there's the anti-hunters that do eat meat. And it's like, if you're anti-hunting and you eat meat,
I don't even consider them like
no
you're
respect.
Out. You're out.
No respect.
It's bizarre.
Because you're so removed from death that's really the thing. You're just scared of the reality of what you're involved in. If you're eating meat, there's an animal dying.
Oh yeah.
And as a hunter, you actually have the respect to do that yourself. And actually, one of the main things that really changed my mind from being anti to pro hunting was realizing that an arrow or a bullet from a well-trained hunter is the best death that animal can
100%,
possibly have, because
yeah.
the alternatives are disease, starvation, or getting eaten alive by coyotes.
Yep. So I've got a family member, my uncle actually, he buys and sells cows, and he'll take them up to the slaughterhouse, Cargill, and if anybody ever saw what happens there, they'd be like, wow, like I need to get into hunting, because those cows, if they got a broken leg, they get killed, and then they get stuffed in a room with 100 other cows, and the meat goes to the dump.
Yeah.
It's garbage. They skin a cow and they find an abscess on it, meat's garbage. The FDA won't allow it for consumption.
So what do they do when it's garbage? Like
they kill it and they put it in a room that's literally stacked with dead cows, and then they go to the dump.
that's it.
Yep.
They can't even just put it out in the field and let some coyotes or something
No,
eat it.
gets absolutely no salvage.
They can't give it to the family down the road.
They
that would
should.
take
They
it.
should. You know, honestly, they should give it to like a place for dogs. You know, like kennel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just
Dog food,
freaking
turn it
steam it
into
all
dog
up and
food,
give
yeah.
it to them.
But yeah, it's a
I wouldn't be
waste.
scared to
It's a
eat
waste.
a cow that was technically not.
No,
okay to
no. I
eat.
mean, even with a broken leg, you know, it's got a broken leg. It happens.
Yeah.
And it ruins the entire cow.
Yep.
Because I mean, you'll take
the whole thing.
You shoot a deer and you shoot it through its leg, and it's obviously you're like, I just cut that piece off.
Yep.
And they're saying that the whole thing
Whole
would be
thing
wasted.
gone.
Man.
Yeah.
Because infection or something they're
Yeah,
worried
it's
about.
crazy. It really is nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, my goal with hunting is to get proficient enough where I can feed my family off of wild game all year.
And I think if you make a well shot on a deer, like the buck I shot this year, I made a perfect shot on him. I hit him in his actually only one lunged him. I thought I hard shot him because he ran 40 yards and piled up. But he had no idea what happened to him. He was looking around and just fell over. Instant death.
That was with a bow?
Yeah.
You said your bow gun? Yeah. It's nice when you shoot one and you know that they don't suffer. If you get a heart shot or something and the deer just doesn't know what happened to it, and then they're just piled over. Then they're gone. Like under 60 seconds. They're
Literally
gone.
under 60 seconds.
Yeah, it's the best. That's like, you know, that's what we strive for. That's what we aim for. That's why you shoot all year round to keep that going.
Yeah. I haven't had any like real bad experiences yet, but I did spine that doe. I don't think I talked about that on the last podcast. The two for.
You didn't.
does.
You talked about that. You did that. You didn't talk specific into that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You know, put briefly, I went to this spot that there's a field, and it's real casual hunt. Like I sit on a pile of wood in my friend's backyard, and there's a field out back. I mean, it's not like I'm out in the woods or anything,
Right.
you know, but there's a field, and there's a lot of doe up there, and they're fairly patterned because the neighboring property has a food plot. So they go over there in the morning, they come back in the evening, and they bed and feed a little bit in that field. So they typically go like halfway through the field, but this time they like cut and came like kind of near me, and so I was like, all right, I need to get down off this wood pile, or they're gonna walk right past her. I'm not gonna see them. So there's a 4-wheeler path that goes up into the field, and everything else is just like goldenrod. So by the time I got down, I'm like, got my gun on my shoulder, and I'm like inching around.
Your gun?
Right, my gun. Yeah, my gun. No, your gun. My bad. Yeah, your gun. I've got Kevin's gun.
He shoots like a real old school
Yeah.
Model 94 30-30.
Oh, that's
Winchester.
awesome.
Right, there's a whole other part of this story where you like in the morning. I had my 30-30. I went there in the morning, and
That was
I had
the
my.
same day?
That was the same day.
Oh.
Yeah, I went there with my 30-30, but it's just like I don't trust it after past like 60 yards, honestly.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
like
open sights.
barely better.
No, he's got a good scope.
I got a
but
scope, but it's just not very accurate.
Brush
you
guns.
know?
Brush guns.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's great for what it is, but it is what it is.
Right.
Right. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
yeah.
get a 200, 300 yard
Yeah.
shot with this thing, and so I was telling him, I'm like, man, I got like 5 deer, 5 doe out in this field, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that morning, I'm like, I can't reach it, and and he was like, "Want me to bring a gun down?" I was like, "Hey, if you don't mind, sure." So he came down and
They left right before I got there.
yeah, right before he got there.
What'd you bring down?
I brought my 308 and my 270.
Mhm.
Right, yeah. I
Yeah.
got my BLR right. It's over there in the
Gotcha.
corner. I got a BLR lever action 308, and then I got a Model 700 Remington 270 Bravo.
I love 270.
Yeah, and I left them with a 308.
Yeah, so he left me with the 308. So I went back that afternoon because in the morning they left, and I knew they were gonna come back. So anyway, so back to the story. I'm like off the pile. I know that they're close. There's that 4-wheeler trail going up into the field, and there's a bush. So I'm behind the bush. I've got his rifle. Excuse me. Sorry. I got his rifle on my shoulder. I'm just like inching around it, and then I can see the doe. She's right in that 4-wheeler trail and looking right at me. I was like, man, I gotta be real careful. So I just go like another inch. She's just staring at me, doesn't know what's going on. And so I shot through this bush and it hit her, but it must have either shattered the round. We never found the round in that deer, right?
I found some in it.
You found some?
I found some in it in the bottom of the grinder.
Oh, wow.
I never told you that. I forgot to tell you that because we processed everything here, and so when I cleaned the grinder out, there was a piece of lead in it, and I was like, oh, I hope there's none in the actual
This
meat.
is where
Yeah.
you spined it? You spined this one?
Yeah, so what I was going to say is I don't know if the bullet shattered or if it ricocheted, but I know I aimed for her heart, her lungs or whatever, and it hit her in the spine, and she dropped right away, and she let out this horrible bleed.
Oh,
But she was rolling with a friend, and her friend was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I shot her, and then I just headshotted the first one just to put her out. But so
And that's super ethical shot.
Oh, yeah.
Some people might say like, why'd you head shoot it? But like,
How do you feel that for the first shot? Because that's the controversy.
I actually was just thinking about that. weird.
if you can make a good headshot, why not?
yeah,
I agree.
not?
Why not?
Yeah.
I understand
You
the
save
buck
so
if
much-
you want to
all
mount it
the
or
meat.
something, but like
Yeah, I would never do it with
sa-
a trophy buck.
You save meat, right?
All
yeah.
of it. You know, if you shoot a doe in the shoulder, you're losing like the whole shoulder.
Right.
Mhm.
I
Shoot
was
in the head, it's lights out.
just talking. Remember that? What was that last weekend? When I stalked that buck.
Oh, yep.
A really, really nice buck, wide buck. Got up on it, saw him with a doe. Was like, all right, I can't shoot him through this brush right here. I had no idea he was laying down, so I sat there for about 30 minutes. He didn't move. I was like, he's definitely laying down. So went down this big ravine, came back up, got behind this huge dead oak tree. Popped out around the corner. I could have shot it in the head, and there's about that much to the neck. And I
But it was a
like-
good buck.
It was a good
A
buck.
good buck's
That's
hard
what
to
I-
shoot in the head.
Yeah,
You're not
that's
gonna do
what I
that.
was thinking, and I was like, man, like all that was going through my mind is like, I just had talked to one of my other buddies. He shot a doe in the head, and he's like, it's like the most ethical shot you can make.
It is. I mean, the only way that it's maybe not ethical is if
Is-
you got a small target
Yeah,
and you could hit flesh
yeah.
Right.
and not kill it.
Or a
I've
lower
seen-
jaw or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw
Yeah.
one of the first years I was hunting. Want to talk about graphic?
Just
Is
dropped.
yearling
I've
doe
seen that.
after doing a drive on Fishers is doe with its jaw.
The
just
neighbor
hanging.
shot it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just hanging like this.
And that's
Where
the
do you
thing.
hunt?
Where do I hunt?
Yeah.
South Appalachian.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm talking.
The meat- you know the meat farm?
You know Fishers.
Oh, Bishop.
Yeah.
I think you said different name.
I hunt next to the neighboring property.
Yeah, I
That's
thought
where I-
what you said was like Tioga Straight Corners Road. And I was
Oh,
like, that's
okay.
my neighbor out there.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, okay. But
Yeah,
it's not good to see.
No, but it is definitely an ethical shot. But I ended up not getting that deer. Popped out around the corner and.
Now,
like
let me
this.
ask you, your dad's like, Brandon grew up different, there's those groups of people who grow up, don't kill the does, it's gonna bring more bucks, or kill the doe, that could be a
That's
whole
us.
topic.
We're
But
gonna
your
do it.
dad, he's super against shooting does. Would he let you, finish off a doe?
Oh yeah, we've shot doe. I mean, I have not personally, but he
They're
has
not gonna
shot
live,
doe.
anyway.
Right, has shot doe that
Infection.
are limping
Let me
and
ask-
stuff like
Let me ask
that.
you this: would your dad or you tell your neighbors not to shoot doe?
They wouldn't listen because the neighbor right next to us has about 30 different people driving the woods
Oh,
first
okay.
day of gun.
You don't shoot doe?
No,
Mm.
that was the first. That was the
Is
first.
that like a property rule or is it your rule too?
See, He's been trying to change my mind. This is a great topic because he's been trying to change my mind probably since the day I met him. It's like shoot does, manage your property,
Well,
whatever.
You've heard his story. Then let me tell you my opinion on why I think you should shoot doe. There's just really quickly. Nate had a situation this year where a neighboring property came up to him and said, "There's no bucks on this hill. We don't shoot doe on this hill because we want bucks on this hill." Essentially saying, because there's no doe, there's no bucks. Which he was wrong in general because Nate's
He's
killed
wrong about all of that.
killed plenty of
yeah.
bucks on that hill.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, too many doe is a horrible thing. Do you have a lot of doe there, or is it just like a?
Yeah.
We
Is
got
there a
one
ton of doe?
Yeah.
There's a decent. I mean, yeah, there's a decent amount. So
If you don't kill doe, the bucks are gonna fight for food and they're just gonna leave. I had this conversation with him yesterday, and a really good analogy is how willing are you to go out shopping on Black Friday?
right.
No, answer it.
Not very.
How willing is your girlfriend to go shopping on Black Friday?
Very.
A girl will wait in line.
Yeah.
If you go to a Chinese buffet and there's 300 people in line in front of you, are you gonna wait or are you gonna go to the next place?
Go to the next place.
You're not gonna fight for food. You just want to eat.
Yeah.
When there's a lot of doe, bucks have to. A high population will create pressure,
Yeah.
Yep.
and they'll just leave, and they'll find a place with less pressure, and that's where they're gonna live.
I got,
People
I got a
compare
different
to-
analogy for you. If you go to a club,
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
let's
No,
hear
hold on.
your analogy.
So that's shopping. That's food.
You're gonna
There's two things that motivate bucks.
are you gonna
Food.
argue my analogy with?
Just listen. There's food motivates bucks. Sex motivates
Yes.
bucks.
Yep.
So yeah, grocery store, Chinese buffet. They got benches in the mall for a reason, like you said.
Yeah.
For the dudes.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But you're ignoring at least 50% of a buck's motivation, maybe even more, depending. I mean, I don't know. It depends on the time of year. But
Exactly. It depends on
right,
the
time of year.
That's-
But here's the analogy. Are you going to go to the club that's a 50-50 dudes to girls, or are you going to go to where there's all tail you can chase all night?
Yeah.
And here's the analogy I gave Brandon. Very similar to that. You know, a lot of people go to that analogy. They say, if you're going to go to a club with a lot of females, like, you know, bucks being on a property with a lot of does, why would your bucks leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. I think people compare that to such a small level because if you've got, you know, such a small concentration of does, there's just way more competition, you know? And they should compare it to like a block, you know, like a whole downtown area, and a bar is considered a parcel of property. You know, there's.
Where did you hear this from? Actually, no, you heard this from
I
somewhere.
did not hear this from.
Did you make this up? Because
yes,
this is very good.
Yes, I've told you this.
Yeah, I
like,
know.
wait a
I was
second.
just no. I know you have, but I feel. Where did you hear this from?
I did not hear this from anywhere.
All right, continue.
Yeah. So just, you know, like, I've lost my track now. You screwed me up.
You
Bars,
talking about
bars, there's a block.
parcels.
Right.
Each bar is a parcel. of
Exactly.
property.
There's
Yeah.
just like, you know, the deer are gonna move if there's too much competition as far as male. You know, depending on the time of year.
No,
And
they're
like you
Not
said,
going to
that's-
fight
this-
over the doe. You're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a small fraction of the year as well.
Yeah.
Like breeding season is a very small
Right,
time.
and that's
period.
where we can argue what he's saying.
Right.
Are you?
Pro shoot does.
And you're obviously pro shoot does, but you're just trying to counter what I'm thinking and just.
Well,
thinking
so
something
I'm
else.
where I'm coming from is I'm just purely arguing because I don't really
No,
know
yeah,
and I don't
right.
know much about it. I'm just trying to like think it through.
You
because
just
I
like
don't know.
to stir the pot. Is what your problem is.
Basically, yeah, that's what I'm
No,
getting
you
at.
No, I love
But yeah, but
this.
now
stuff.
everybody throws that same analogy out there.
Yeah.
You know, a bar that's got 50 dudes in it and 50 girls, 50-50 odds. You know?
Where'd you
I
hear
love
that?
this.
I just made it up.
See, that's perfect. He just made that shit up too.
Where did you think I heard that from?
I don't know. Every single time I think about
I've
it.
told you this before.
I know.
It's 'cause it's
I know.
profound, and you're like, wow.
It is a great.
You're like,
It's
wow,
a
that's
great
really
point.
good
That's
thought.
why.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Well,
It's like-
there's ways that you can read whether your property as well is a good ratio or not.
Mhm.
You know, a healthy ratio is 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the thing too. You may have 50 does, but if you have 50 bucks too, that's okay.
It's
So-
great.
Right. So you have to know your deer. You know, you got to know.
There's ways to read that. is what
Right,
I'm getting
exactly.
at.
How is that a good thing? Because like the Bucks are going to be more aggressive. They're going to fight. They're going to like.
There's,
Right? No.
There's more
Dominant.
activity. There's more.
Yeah.
They're going to be. You
Okay.
want them to really.
You
fight
want
over
them to move,
Yeah.
and they're not going to move. if
They're
they
gonna be
don't have
chasing.
to.
They're gonna be
Okay.
arguing over
Gotcha.
doe.
And so the time of the year really changes the dynamic of this conversation, right? Because if
Right.
you're talking
That's what I was gonna say.
So if you're just talking about food, like it's a specific time of year that bucks are worried about mating,
Which
They're
is
not.
what 10 months of the year. Or no. About
months
food
of-
is 10 months of the well.
Okay, so
All
you're
of them.
talking, let's say, early season, or like, okay, so 10 months of the year.
Yeah, they
Okay,
want food.
right, okay. I'm just trying
That's
to think
why
this through.
food is a great point you brought up.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a lot of people think when they think about buck to doe ratios, they're just talking about the rut.
I've even
Right.
thought that too. I'm like, I want to go where the does are because they're going to bring the bucks in. But that's, like you said, only really like 3 weeks out of the year.
Right,
once
because
it
other than
goes
that,
slow,
it's,
you know,
it's
she's
really
good.
the food
Right.
pressure that's going to drive. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's doe or bucks. If they see a lot of deer, they're going to be like, okay, maybe I'll go somewhere else because I don't want to.
Exactly. So it's like during the summer months and in the spring and everything like that, they're going to be like, I'm not comfortable here because there's so many deer trying to eat this little bit of food. I'm just going to go somewhere where I don't have to
And
fight
it
deer to eat.
depends on where you're hunting. If you're hunting a very large ag area like a farm that's got tons of food, like the places I hunt,
Yeah.
food everywhere, for deer.
You're gonna have the bachelor groups and everything like that.
Right.
So at my grandpa's house, and I'll touch on this just to end the doe topic before me and Madola stop hopping across the table at each other here. It's like
By the way, after this podcast, you got to go help me get the doe I shot tonight.
that's fine. That's fine.
Just so you
I
know.
don't care. So my dad and my grandpa have always said, where you have doe, you will have buck. So like you were just saying,
And I
kind
agree
of,
with that.
So I'll have buck, like I showed you the one goofy looking one, right? In the summertime. And then come September, that thing will disappear.
Yep.
Will not show back up.
And you have a lot of doe on your property, so that's strange.
Right. And it will not show back up until literally end of October, like through the mid-November, and then they'll disappear again. And when they come, it's like a buck fest. Like I've never seen
During the
more.
rut, it really takes off.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like insane.
Oh, so you're saying that during the rut it's good, and you think that's because you're saving doe?
Right, and that's what our whole
A worry I would have with
Theory
too
is.
many doe as well is when a buck gets locked on a doe, it's locked
Oh,
for
yeah.
a day or two.
100%.
I think also that could have something to do with the way the hills roll. That you've got good areas for bucks to run through and travel.
yeah,
and look
that's
for
what I
does.
was gonna.
You've
What
got a lot of
you're in
ridges on
hills.
his. He's got a lot of ridges on his property that bucks can run. And
Bucks run a ridge with
Yeah.
with scent. They can scent check a whole ridge
Right.
with just the right wind, and they don't have to actually waste their time.
you don't
Checking.
have a lot of deer that hang out. They're just cruising through.
Right, except for the does. Like the does,
The
just
does
they
thing.
love that.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him the other day. Is like, so the apple orchard, for example, where I shot that buck. I've always hunted, so it kind of I split it up into two, like my parents' property and then my grandpa's property. And my grandpa's is mostly like hardwoods, creek bottoms, and apple orchard.
Yeah.
And goldenrod. And then you have on my parents' side thick pines and thick thorn lots. I've never seen bigger deer than I have at my parents' house. It's like
You said thick.
thick.
That's the key, man.
That's what I mean. It's,
Monsters survive because they're
Yeah.
in the thick.
and I'll never stop hunting up there.
If you want to get a buck that no one else has gotten, you got to
Yeah.
go where no one else is going.
Thick.
Exactly.
You
they're
can't
so
walk
they're
through
so
it.
keen into finding those areas that have no human sediment.
Yeah.
And they just stay there.
They're
There's some
smart.
spots like that on a property I got that I really want to figure out next year.
Yeah.
So I'm just figuring out this property this year, and so I don't know. I was walking up there, and I'm like, if there's a big buck, this is where it'd be.
Do you ever walk around? Do you ever ground hunt at all?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's my favorite
that
way
is
to hunt. I love
in my
it.
opinion, the best way to learn a lot.
Yeah,
I-
especially
after
right
bow
after rut.
season.
Yeah.
I mean, even during the rut, I'll ground hunt a lot during the rut.
Yeah.
The place I hunt, it's really evolved over the course of the past few years. Last year was a really bad storm that generated hundreds of blowovers. It was like a small tornado. It just knocked trees down everywhere. In 2 years before that, every year it seems like, and especially the farm, the way the crop rotation is, everything's just changing. So it's hard to pattern the deer when everything's constantly changing. So like this year was a big difference from last year with all the blowdowns. So the deer movement completely different, but it's also great habitat. It's just hard to hunt them because it's
And-
so thick.
He makes jokes as in like going back to like, oh, you don't have buck during the early season, like how he shot his buck. I would never I've never shot a deer except for that spike before probably October 25th.
And I always have great luck there.
Yeah, it's like ag land, great early season spot. I will not.
So easy to pattern.
Yeah,
you know?
it is.
They've
It
got
is.
their food that they like. You know,
Right.
they want to be at their food sources. They want to be at nighttime. They feel comfortable, and they continually go there.
It's
This spot that I've got is like I'm curious how it's gonna develop over the next couple of years. I'm really I could say fascinated by it because it's the ash trees are all dying, right? And
Yeah.
there's sections of this entire hill that are probably 90% or more ash trees.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's gonna happen? This is all gonna be like a meadow in 5
Well,
years.
it'll be good. You know, it'll once they fall down, all that regeneration will come up. And hinge cutting's huge. I do a lot of hinge cutting on my.
What is that?
It's when you cut down a tree, but you're only cutting probably 40% of the tree, and you're pushing it over the rest of the way. That way, when it falls down, it's still got all.
There's like the main log,
Yeah.
and they start sprouting up.
Exactly. They continue to provide brush and food for the deer, because
Okay.
deer aren't just going to eat corn and clover. They eat a lot of saplings, you know.
They'll eat straight up maple leaves off the ground.
Maple, yeah.
What was that? Did you see that? Did I send that to you? Where it was
That's
like
6,000 pounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where was that from?
That's TikTok. I saw it.
What is
Oh
this?
yeah.
I just
Dirt. I think that was
Maple leaves,
dairy.
I think.
I think a deer. How many pounds of food does a deer?
6
eat?
pounds a
6
day.
pounds a day, which is equivalent to I think 6,000 maple leaves.
Maple
Yeah.
leaves, yeah.
That's insane.
Wait, are you
A
saying
deer will-
6,000
like a full
maple leaves
no.
is 6 pounds?
About
Yeah.
roughly.
That many?
Yeah.
Not wet,
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, okay, true.
dried.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of maple leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in the wintertime, and all the food's covered up, and they got like the winter we had last year.
Yeah.
God, that was terrible on all the wild game. Turkeys.
Kevin, do you do food plots at all or no?
So on my property, I don't really hunt my own property. I've got a good chunk of land over in Tioga, and I've got good bucks over there and stuff too. And
Is
it's
it a
not
permission spot or your property?
my property, own it, you know, and have gotten a good amount of deer and bucks over there. But it's kind of wasn't until recent years that I started really overflowing with cameras and really seeing what's there. But it's nothing really holds it. It's only 20 acres, so nothing holds them there, right? It's a pasture spot, and I food plot that, and we get them coming in, and it's fine. But like the main areas I hunt, especially this year with this target buck, is right here, not my own land. And then I've got other places that I've probably got like 600 acres, 700 acres of just like people that allow me to hunt their land, that I am the sole, caretaker of the land. I go up and do favors for the owners and stuff like that, where I've managed over my life to knock on this guy's door and get permission, and then the neighbor allows me theirs, and then over the time, and I got this really good chunk of land. But I haven't gone in there and food plotted any of that. It's not something I can really do there. It's mainly just timber, with some ag fields. The Robinson family, the big farmers here in town, like they let me hunt almost all their land. So it's like, why would I food plot when I can just hunt their cornfields and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Right.
Definitely.
But this year, where the big boy is, I'm gonna food plot the heck out of some spots in there. There's a perfect spot for it, and I've got all the equipment to do it.
Yeah.
I've got big Kubota tractor and every single thing you can pull behind the thing, PTO wise, and like I got everything to do it because we do it on our own land, and I would love to go hit a couple of these other spots too.
What do you
But
think you would plant in that?
I don't have enough education with it, man. What we always used to plant was brassica.
Right.
Yes, that's what I was gonna
No,
say.
I think you should plant what nobody else has.
What is that?
Exactly. You got to know what food's in the area and then plant.
Right, and where I'm
plant
hunting here would be corn and either hay fields or sometimes soy.
Okay, so they got soybeans. They got a late season.
I
crop.
think they alternate soy every other year. They got pumpkins, corn, hay, sometimes
I think
soy.
what's gonna bring a deer to a food plot is what's in it and its location.
Right.
So if
This
you're-
is center of the thick. Literally, there's just this random like
and that's
4
perfect.
acre
Like a little
opening of
like a little
thick.
kill plot.
In the middle of it's a water hole.
Yeah, that's perfect.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Did you say Brassica?
Brassica.
Oh
I've
my
never
God,
heard. I've never heard
so
of that.
good.
What is that?
It's a beet, right?
Yeah, it's like your beet, radish, stuff like that.
Right.
Turnips, right?
Right. Yeah.
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 It's a bulb plant.
Yeah.
Pull up the questions that we got.
Sure.
We'll do that in a minute. There's I had a thought. Nate and I we talked today. So in New York State, you can't bait deer, right? You can't throw down something and bait a deer in. And, you know, the reason behind that is because it can mess up the natural pattern of the deer and whatever.
Big worry of chronic waste disease.
Right. So what's the difference between that and planting actual food plot?
Exactly. I've talked about this with a ton of people, and I couldn't agree more.
Because legally, if there's roots in the ground, you can do it. But Nate has this good. He said yesterday, like, you're intentionally.
Well, the definition, when you looked up the law, the definition of like feeding a deer was creating an unnatural concentration of deer, and I'm like, you put a food plot in, that's literally definitionally what you're doing.
You can get a ticket.
You're creating a concentration of deer that wouldn't be there unless you planted this food.
I was talking with a DEC officer this year, and he told me that if a landowner has a bird feeder that's bringing too many deer to it, they could get a ticket for baiting deer.
But is it only if you're hunting over it?
No. He said if anything, like he said, he gave me the example of a bird feeder. If you've got a bird feeder and there's mass amounts of deer coming to it, they can get a ticket for it. I don't know if they would, they have discretion.
See, like a couple of years ago, I feel like that law has changed a lot because it was like something that is like not native to the land. So it'd be like if I were to plant brassica, that would be considered a food plot. I couldn't hunt over that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But like clover or something.
How do you feel about that law?
I don't know yet because, so that's what we talked about a little bit yesterday. I don't think you should be able to hunt over like dumping piles of corn.
Exactly, I agree.
Yep. But if you are making a full-on food plot, it still is going to change the pattern of the deer.
Yep.
Because they're still going to, in their mind, be like, okay, well, I know that's there, and maybe they're going to change their pattern to go to that.
You know what I think you should be able to do is off-seeding supplement feed.
What do you mean?
So in the wintertime, when food is not easily accessible.
I think you should be able to feed during not season.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Can't we do that here right now?
No, you can't. Any time of the year. You
Really?
cannot
Nope.
purposely feed a deer at any point in the year.
That's great. I always thought that you could like dump corn piles out
Have you guys-
a month before.
No, you can't.
You better get out there and clean up those corn.
I know I don't have any.
Have you?
No, not me, man.
Have you seen that Facebook page? It's a food pantry, something deer food pantry up in Maine.
No.
I'll send it to you. It's really neat. They've got when I realized like that you can't feed deer at all at any point in time, I was like, what about these people? They're in Maine, so they have just giant troughs, and they have cameras on it, and they Facebook live stream all the time. You can go look right now, and they don't open it until the last day of season's over, and then they open up the troughs, and it's full of food, and then all winter these deer just go and eat, and these giant bucks are eating, and you can live
Like
stream
the
it.
year we literally got 4 feet of snow.
That was insane. 12 hours.
And that's just so ridiculous for a deer to try to find food. I mean, they're gonna just eat saplings. They'll find food, but why make them?
That was still during season too.
Yeah.
That was it was a week before muzzleload started, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember do you remember when we got that 4 feet of snow?
Oh yeah.
When we got that 4 feet of snow, I remember saying, I guess my season's over. Because I was like, for one, in my mind, it was unethical to go shoot a deer in 4 feet of snow.
Right.
Because what are they going to do? I
that's
can
the
walk
thing.
right up to it. The thing's not going to be able to run.
When the snow hardens on the top, the coyotes can run right on top of it.
And the deer can't. Yeah.
And the
Never thought about
turkeys,
that.
same way with the turkeys. They're just gonna sink. And there was a local farm. My uncle was telling me, he drove by it, and the turkeys, like hundreds of turkeys, just sitting underneath the silo, picking at corn on the ground because there's no other food.
I guess to finalize your question with that of like, in my mind, I think food plots are okay because if you're establishing something that is going to change their pattern, there's no difference between that and a farmer down the road putting in their food plot.
Right.
Essentially, it's a food plot.
Exactly.
If you have a cornfield or soybean field, deer are going to change their pattern to that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have something that's in the ground like that, that's okay. But you can go anywhere and dump a bag of corn and get deer to go there.
Yep.
No matter what.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
think that's
Definitely.
no longer fair chase.
Nope.
And I mean, you can go through 1,000 different things that may or may not be fair chase.
Right. Like gun or bow. A
Gun or bow, trail cameras, scent lures, all sorts of
The
things.
cell cams, it's a big time. They're actually banned in the Midwest. Cell cameras.
Yeah, I think Idaho now just banned them. Or
Can
Utah.
I ask you a question? I'm
Yeah, of course.
fascinated on your vegan to deer hunting
Yeah.
background.
Whatever you want to know.
Was there a moment in time specifically that you can remember that was like, I love this, how am I keep doing this? Like a day out in the woods, a specific moment
You know, when I had my first kill, it was a goose.
Yeah.
And
Is that the first thing you went out for? Was goose?
First thing you
Yes.
ever killed.
First thing I ever killed
Yeah.
was a couple geese in a pond, and it was pretty much that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was probably
when
when you ate it.
Well, right. I was just about to say that because this is everybody thinks I'm a lunatic when I say this, but when we killed that goose, we came back, we cooked it, I ate it. This is the first real meal of meat I had in 4 years.
Wow.
I had a drunk chicken wing one night, whatever, but you know, like it barely counts. You know, like this is like
Those are the best.
this is a fresh, right out of the wild. Killed it 2 hours ago.
Quick kill.
Goose.
Imagine
And
a 4-year no meat. 4-year no meat drunk chicken wing was probably the best.
no, that was pretty good too. Don't get me wrong. That was good. But this goose was different. I felt high. I know it sounds crazy.
Really?
I had a rush like nothing else.
Did it upset your stomach at all?
No.
No.
I felt amazing.
That's
You ever deadlift heavy and that feeling you feel like
Yeah.
you just like your testosterone
It's called,
or whatever.
it's called
like
endorphins.
boost.
It's an endorphin.
Right, just
release.
I felt like I don't know if this is what happened, but I felt like my test levels like tripled. Like I was like, this is crazy. Like I feel amazing, and then
Yeah.
from that point, I was just like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
You guys know the
Okay.
whole Liver King thing going on.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
So-
I knew he was doing it. I knew.
Everybody did.
Let's not get into that too much. The reason I brought it up
Nobody
is,
has that physique.
The reason I brought it up, my buddy Bomar there,
I saw his video of him eating the raw liver.
he's eating everything raw now, but he swears.
The testicle.
He swears you take a bite straight out of the deer, the raw liver. And I don't know about you guys, but I grew up like, you shoot your first deer, you try to get the person to bite the heart.
I got
No.
that spiel. I didn't do it.
I didn't do it either.
Yeah.
I didn't, but I always tell everybody, you gotta bite the heart, you gotta bite the heart. And they never do it, but you
Right.
just always say it, right?
Yeah.
But like Josh is saying, you take a bite out of that liver, and he was like, I don't know how to explain it, man, but you are on a high.
Mhm.
He's like, it literally gets you going.
I'm gonna have to
Like,
try
It's probably a similar feeling, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one of them woods right
All right,
now.
let's go do it. I'm down.
Oh man, we might be.
We'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
We're about to do a
Next thing you know,
science
it's been like
experiment.
2 hours. Christian and I are just running around. It's going nuts.
I'm
liver.
what's your emergency?
I mean, I had cooked heart before.
Yeah, it's great. I like
Do
it
you
a
guys
lot.
save the organs?
Oh,
Or like
no.
the, you know,
Liver,
Typically.
just the liver. I've
liver,
never
heart.
ate
I
the
save,
heart.
I save all of it.
You know, goose heart is real good.
Really?
Really good.
This guy over here is the most avid goose hunter that I know, or used to
No.
be at least. I don't know if you still do. Used to
I
goose hunt
mean,
a lot, right?
yeah. If we just haven't like, right now, dude. It's like there's no geese. Like,
Right.
You
know, in-
drive by cornfields
In
and there's
northern,
nothing. Oh,
northern
yeah,
zone, you
up-
can shoot one a day.
That's
What?
it?
One a day.
And it's dumb because it's like
Why would you go set a spread up to shoot one?
And it's a lot
Yeah.
of work.
it
That's
is.
fun.
Yeah.
And wait till it gets frozen. You bring out the drill and you start drilling holes for the fucking dive bombs. That's bad.
Well, I've got some fields that are loaded with them right now. If you guys want to go and shoot geese.
Yeah, we've been talking about it. We
You ever,
almost went a couple.
you guys
You
ever
want to do that
Rabbit
this
hunt?
Saturday, maybe?
Let's
Yeah.
get out. Let's do rabbit.
Let me. I'm talking. There's like 4 days of not hunting season coming up here soon.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
Maybe let's get after some birds then.
Loud and clear.
You know,
Yep.
let me just give a point here. We've met before, but
Yeah.
we've never been friends.
Right.
And we're talking about hunting right now,
Mhm.
and we're like, let's go hunt together. Let's
That's
hang
the
out.
beauty of hunt
Yeah.
outdoors.
Exactly.
man.
That
Is
is
that cool?
the beauty of.
I don't
You know,
think
hunting.
me and you
Love
would
it.
ever be.
Yeah, we
Friends.
probably wouldn't be as
No.
close if we were if it wasn't for hunting.
Yeah, I
Ever
don't
since
like
I
him
stole
very much
Peach
either.
sitting
He's like, you got some land.
That was a joke. It's fine. Yeah, no.
What was that country song? I'm gonna marry for money. I'm
Yeah.
gonna marry for acres.
Yeah.
that's the goal.
Yeah, Kevin, where's that buck? What road's that on?
I actually saw. I saw your deer in person.
I know you did.
Kevin has been chasing this buck, and he's talked about it in the podcast. But this thing is a behemoth. Thing's crazy.
I think he's close to a state record.
I do too. I think it is the biggest deer, second biggest deer. No, it is the biggest deer. The one I saw was the second biggest deer I've ever seen in a while. Last
Yeah,
year,
you got to see him in person.
Yeah,
You never like you've seen. I've talked to Nate about
I
this
was
deer
driving
every
one
day.
night and I saw this deer in somebody's front yard. Yeah.
That's where your
Wow.
snake money's going to.
Stop it. And just seeing that thing, it was nuts. Man.
Yeah. Yeah, people call bucks monsters. This is an actual monster.
This is a next level deer.
Yeah.
And they don't come around often.
You know,
Dude, I had him walk underneath my stand one day, 12 minutes before shooting light. I had him bed next to me one day, 60 yards away.
Could you, now let me ask you a question, could you have shot that deer?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is, hands down to you, man. Because a lot of people.
Well, let me reword that. I couldn't see my pin.
Okay, got it.
I think I could have shot that deer though.
Right. You
I
could have taken a shot.
Dude, I've shot thousands and thousands of arrows. I have a pretty good muscle memory of where the arrow's gonna go.
Right.
And he was 8 yards away.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people wouldn't have done that.
Right.
A lot of people would have just taken the shot, and I'm glad that you're the kind of person.
I had to stay in my stand. I was in my stand one night for 2 hours after dark because he was under me the whole damn time. What do I do?
What's his name that we watch on YouTube? Bill Winke.
Oh,
He talks about
boy.
sleeping in his box blinds.
Yeah.
If there's
Those $3,000 ones I was sleeping
Yeah,
in.
right.
No, things nicer than my
Yeah,
house.
yes.
Yeah.
Those,
I
what are
like
they,
the
shadow
Winke.
blinds and stuff?
They're
Those
so
things are
expensive too.
nice.
$5,000, man. Like, come on, I'm not spending that.
Which we'll probably say this for when we get on your guys' podcast and the people can listen to it then, but we got to talk about, we actually have a good divider right here. Split this table in half. You guys are the saddle boys.
Oh, that's what
Oh yeah, let's save
you
that.
like.
You're a
It.
saddle
You
hunter?
like it though, right?
Mhm.
Yes, I was gonna ask him what
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
That's
We'll save that for you.
awesome,
That'll be a
man.
good discussion. Yeah,
That's
we'll save that for your
awesome.
guys' podcast. Yeah, I just got it this year though.
Yeah?
Yep, I'm in.
Oh God, I just want to dive in.
I know. I was,
Conversation.
like what
What-
brand? What brand? At least?
I got
Tethered.
tethered.
All right, never
Yep.
mind.
You got the Hawk Helium, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm not.
He's got
big Hawkeye.
garbage
Big
stuff.
Hawkeye. No.
Yeah.
And Hawk is awesome to start off with. I will say that. Not the
Yeah.
sticks. I wouldn't let.
Oh my
Anybody.
God.
I watched your
Yeah.
video on the sticks.
No,
and
don't.
Did you hear about this year? I fell out of a tree.
Yeah, I heard you
You
say that.
fell out
Oh,
of a
yeah.
tree?
15 feet out of a tree.
Oh, no, because of the sticks?
Yeah.
Well, last
no.
year it was almost because of the sticks. So
What
last,
happened?
so the
How
way
many times have you fallen out of a tree?
twice, almost. Yeah.
You think you learned?
I
When
get
you're 23?
I get way too
6 more
ballsy
chances.
up in the tree. Like I'm like so we do hanging hunts all the time. I'm literally got one the back of my leg wrapped around my stick and just hands free up in the tree trying.
That's
to
what I do on climbing. Like they're called climbing sticks, but they're ladder.
Yep.
You know, with one
Oh,
and it goes
yeah.
the whole way,
Yeah.
and I wrap my legs around those.
So last year I was pulling on some stands with Nick. He's got the hawk sticks like printed. And I was at the top of the tree unhooking my stand, and this stick slid down the whole tree and then turned sideways. And I blocked down the tree, and I was standing on the stick as it was horizontal. But this year I hung a stand, so I got a big game tree stand. Was going to hang it up. I only had one strap, and I was confused. I was like, most of the time these things have 2 straps. This is weird. I was like, maybe some new design, to hook in better. So I hop up in the thing, and I'm standing there, and I go to turn around. I didn't have my safety harness on, and it's really bad, And
a lot of local people getting hurt with that.
yeah, seriously, you get
Yeah,
paralyzed.
we just talked about that.
Yeah.
That guy
There's-
from Ithaca.
He's moving his toes.
Is he?
Is he?
And
That's
he just got
bad,
transferred
man.
to somewhere
That's
else.
scary.
But
Like,
there
that's
was
scary.
a New York death this year as well.
Really?
Yeah, there was a
I
death.
didn't hear about that.
He was hunting with his father. And he
Yeah, it was
fell.
almost me.
He hit his head on the way down.
Yeah. He's
So-
scary when he gets up in there.
He
So,
hit his head on the way down.
I got up to the top, and I turned around because I was gonna have Nick start trimming some branches, and the bottom of the stand kicked out, and I fell down, and it felt like I was falling forever, man. And I landed on the ground, hit my head, my forehead,
On
my whole
what?
face was numb. Thank God we were in a pine tree lot, and the ground was soft a little bit
Pine
from all the
needles.
pine needles. I hit my head on the ground, my whole face was numb. I'm like feeling my face. I'm like, oh my God, am I okay? I was bleeding, and I landed that far away from a root sticking up. I would have cracked my whole head open.
Did you hunt that day?
No, it was before. It was early. We were hanging stands before season.
I almost fell out of a tree with my 2-piece climber this year, and that's why I got a saddle.
Yeah,
I was like,
no,
that's-
no
friggin'
thanks to climbers,
I hate
man.
this
I had a
thing.
climber.
What kind of climber?
Summit Viper.
See, I had a Summit. Did you have the umbilical cord attached?
Umbilical cord.
That's what they call it.
They
the
usually cut it
little-
as soon as it comes out.
the little
Like, never
strap
had
that goes to the bottom and the top.
Yeah.
Oh
And the
man,
almost
you're
fell.
climbers.
I did. It was just the tree was just a little too. I can't remember. No, it was either too big or too small.
Gotcha.
Just
Well,
a little
the problem
bit.
is this
And
tree's
I
get
think
smaller as
it
you
was
go
too
up.
big.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And then the bark was too slick or something. I don't know. It just
you
wasn't
gotta be
grabbing.
careful. And that's
Right.
the sucky part of all the ash trees dying. Is they're the best trees to get into.
Because there's
Yep.
no branches on them.
Yep.
It's just a
That-
straight tree.
That diamond pattern, the tree,
Yeah.
your stand's gripping great.
Yeah, but I was just up there and I left my harness, and this was the third tree I tried to climb. It just wasn't working out. I was sweaty. I was pissed. I was like frustrated, and so like I left my harness and I was just like whatever. I want to hunt. So I was like,
Oh, you were going to hunt this day too?
oh, yeah.
Oh,
I was out there, man.
What
and
a way to ruin a hunt.
it sucked. I was pissed, man. I was in such a bad mood all day. But I was like 20 feet up, and then I just like went, and then
Was that this year?
I went to lock it, and then I just slid down the tree like 8 feet, and I was like, okay.
Man.
I went down. I didn't even like, I like have a whole system. I like tie it together, strap my bag on, I put it on my back. I carried the thing out 2-piece. I'm like, I'm so done. I threw it in my truck. Never use the thing again.
Yeah, I have a summit climber, and Nick Klausner had a summit climber, and it's been in a tree for years.
You just leave it in the tree?
No, I will not use it.
Yeah.
Refuse.
Put it on Marketplace.
Yeah,
Mine's on
seriously.
Marketplace right
I
now.
saw that today. Yeah, I had a similar situation where I climbed a tree, slipped in it once, and the bottom fell all the way to the base of the tree. Luckily, I was only about, I don't know, maybe 15 feet high. So what I did was I hung on. I got off of it and I hung on to it like hanging from monkey bars, and I finally just let myself go.
Really?
And I was only about, at that point, I don't know, 8 feet off the ground,
Yeah.
something like that.
See, I don't get too high up in the trees. I'm like deathly afraid of heights. So like 15, 16 is like
Right
max.
now with your
with my saddle. I mean,
How many sticks do you use?
So I have 3 sticks, and then my 4th stick is a step in the platform. I have the platform attached to the stick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that'll get you up there pretty high.
15 feet is where you stop.
I'd
that's because
say
of-
by myself.
You?
You didn't like going high?
Try 8 feet.
Dude,
No,
I'm
I
up like
hate-
25, 30 feet.
Dude, I hate getting
I
up
gotta
there
get
that
high too.
Yeah, he does. I'll never forget the day that I walked up on him
God.
in a sad.
No, my climber.
He was a star on the tree, wasn't he?
He was probably 30 feet up there. 20 yards or straight down.
Yeah.
It was bad.
So that's what, like, you guys, if we go get this doe tonight, you'll see, you're like, that thing looks like you hit it a little high. I'm like, because I was 14 miles above the thing.
Yeah.
And that's the only shot I had. But I like that because I never always hunted super high like that. But this buck I'm after this year, I'm like, I need to keep my scent as high as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've had deer downwind of me, and they have no idea I'm there because I'm so high in the air, and that wind just took me past them.
That's-
you know.
So talk about scent control. What do you
I was
think?
gonna say that's why I love
It's the
hunting
most
ridges.
important thing.
What do you think about scent sprays?
So scent sprays to me, I use them because why not, and I use them because I'm not going to rely on them. But a big buck, I love being vocal hunting.
Yeah.
I love calling. I love rattling. And a lot of times, a buck that hears you grunting, even if you're blind grunting, a buck's going to hear you and they're going to circle you, come downwind of you to try to smell you first.
Mm-hmm.
Not always, but when they do that,
If they can.
I hope that cover scent's going to help.
Yep.
I hope.
I like cover scents, like you said. I use the sprays because, like you said, why not? But I do a lot of cover scents. I buy a lot of those fresh earth wafers, and I built a box that it's like a tote, and I put a foam liner around it, and then I throw in these scent wafers and lock it in. And
Fill leaves and shit in there.
Yeah.
Throw just earthly things in there.
Yeah.
Pine, cut some branches off pines.
Yeah.
Throw that in there. I leave all my clothes outside all the time.
yeah,
Um,
I always get dressed outside of the truck.
See, I never do that because it's like
He'll wear his clothes right in
yeah,
the truck.
I wear like I don't know.
How does that work?
This
for you?
table really is split because last year I was really like sensitive about scent. This year I was like, let's see what happens. I didn't really.
I
You
mean,
know what's funny?
I
Is
will
this
because
shit-
I pay really, really close attention to my wind, and I also try to pick, and I do pick spots where it's impossible or very difficult to circle down wind. So I'm
That's-
like, it doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
So
I
it's
can
like
sit
that's
here
what those
and
are the
smoke a
situations
cigar, and
I
it
love
wouldn't
to
matter.
call.
It's like the orchard. Like you sit and you have the wind going to the swamp. You're gonna rattle and grunt your ass off the whole time until something comes in, right? but it's like thermals. Thermals is something that I learned last year, and it's awesome. Like the thermal situation.
Thermals.
That's what I
Huge.
mean. I love it, and that's
People don't realize
hunting
thermals
range.
will work on a small hill.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be big elevation for a thermal to work.
I love it.
Try that Old Spice.
Yeah.
Have you seen that before?
Some Evercalm.
Have you used it?
I've never used it. I've
Have you
seen it.
Have you smelled it?
And I've not. No.
Let's
Smell
take a
it.
big old whiff. Don't get too close.
Oh yeah. Is that an estrus?
No.
No.
It's just bedding.
Really?
It's just bedding.
Wow.
So the guy that I was talking to you about the
Have
other
you smelled
night,
it?
yeah, because so the
Put
guy
it
that
on before you go on your next date.
the next
You want to see it?
It's always running
Yeah.
season for old Brandon.
no, happily married. No, I'm just
Oh, yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
The guy
Make
that I
sure
was
he said that.
right.
The
I
next-
wasn't saying that. I was just saying.
the guy
He's
that
a
I was
one
talking
dope
to you
type man.
guys about at the local hub there, and we're talking about the guy that I want to have in the podcast. He uses that stuff, and they send him stuff all
Who's
the
that?
time. Mike.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
it.
I love it, man. I mean, I don't know if that's the reason why deer weren't winding me or what, but I got winded maybe once or twice this year.
Conquest Sense sponsor us.
But I put it on the tree when I get in the tree. I put it on my boots when I'm walking in,
Yeah.
and I'll get up in the tree and I'll wipe it on the tree around me, thinking if the wind's gonna hit me, they're at least gonna
Yep.
pick up a little bit of
I do
this.
that with doe estrus during the rut. I'll spray it in the branches around my tree, so if they do come downwind,
Nice.
Have you
it's
smelled
not
this?
abnormal.
Yeah, I've smelt it. He showed me all of them. They have a ton.
They have a
of
couple different
things.
smells.
Have you seen
Yeah.
those electronic scent dispersers? They have a remote and you get the
Oh
little-
yeah.
You hanging above you or
No.
like it sprays?
Yeah.
Scent
One of those
control
in the
is
bathroom.
something
Yeah.
a very very touchy subject.
Yeah, it
because-
is.
I don't know why. Doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Well,
a big,
I don't argue what you said. Do you need to get changed before you get in your vehicle and go? Is that scent going to leave you very quickly? Who knows? In my mind, I get dressed at home. I get dressed in the porch. I hop in my truck or on my
Yeah.
four-wheeler and go down the road. But I'm only going a mile,
Yeah.
if that.
I mean,
Like,
the
how much
dogs
scent am
are
I
all
picking up?
over my clothes and everything like that.
If
I
you
mean-
play the wind, it technically doesn't
Yeah,
matter. But
that's what I mean.
what I'm saying is like, if that deer goes downwind of you, and a lot of times a big mature buck is going to do that, I want to at least. It's like at the end of the day, I want to know that I did everything I possibly could, and if I missed that opportunity, like maybe it's just it was my fault in some sort of. I don't want to be like, oh man, if I sprayed that on me that day, I would have gotten that buck.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to have to think about
I
that.
think it depends on where you're hunting too, like where you're hunting. That's possible.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of my spots, it's not like one of my spots. I have a house literally right behind me.
Yeah.
Wife's
Yeah.
house. Another one, I've got a highway.
And they're used to
Right
the
behind
human
me.
scent being in the area.
Well,
Right,
yeah.
from a yard. Right, so actually, yeah, because I'll hunt even blowing the other way because they're used to it,
Yeah.
blowing from the house. You kinda
That was my
turned out of
theory
that,
all
yeah.
year. I've had 7 interactions with this giant buck.
Did he come in downwind every time with the wind in his face?
Not every time, no.
That's the thing. I've seen so many
A lot
deer
of
this
times,
year,
yes.
and most of the time, I mean, the place I hunt, the wind's never consistent.
You know why a buck's doing that? It's because they want to smell what's in front of them.
Exactly, right.
A buck's not going to go where it can't sense what's already 100 yards in front of it. And they are also, the whole time, they're looking for doe, so they're
Yeah.
trying to smell a doe.
Right.
They're
A
just
lot
seeking.
of times this year, a lot of the deer I saw did not come in downwind. They did not come in with the wind in their face, and it was baffling
Right.
to me. I'm like, why are these? So early season, I try to kill does. I want my warm up kill per se to be doe. It's easy to kill doe in the early season, you would think. But this year, I kept hopping across the field. So I'd hunt one side of the field, and I was just trying to hit my burner spots per se. Spots that I don't really care about. We didn't have a ton of great bucks on them. And that's where I killed my buck. We had him on camera, but there was only a
Burner
couple.
buck.
Yeah, burner buck. And we were hopping up, so I'd hunt one side of the field, those would come out on the other side. And I'm playing the wind to the best of my ability. And every time I'd hunt the other side of the field, so the wind would be in my face, the deer would come out on the other side of the field. And they're the same deer, they all
Yep.
come out in their same groups. And it was just crazy to me, like, why are these deer not coming in downwind? with the wind?
You guys know Mark Kenyon?
I
He's from the Meat Eater crew.
Yeah.
Wired to Hunt.
Yep.
Wired to
yeah.
Hunt podcast. He had he was the first guy that really taught me scent control, because he would go check cameras
Mm-hmm.
and he would take his ATV to the camera, get as close as to the camera as he could, and if he took a step on the ground, he sprayed that spot.
Really?
And he would spray the camera when he was done. Like the guy was absolutely anal about it.
Like even Bomar, he goes out. I watched one of his videos. He's going out in like a storm to trick his cameras.
So that's a good topic, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that because there's like a catch-22 with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I learned this from talking to Neil and other dog trackers, where they say, and I've always done this, if you're gonna go switch a stand or you're gonna go out there, do it when it's raining so your scent washes away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true, your scent washes away quick, but a deer can actually smell in rain like 10 times better than they can smell not in rain. Because when the air is moist, it's just like us humans. You can smell better when things are wet.
Yeah.
And a dog tracker would rather track a trail after rain with no blood at all, and they have a higher success rate of finding a deer than if it was a dry day with a full blood trail.
Really?
Yeah, because they can smell it better. They can smell wet blood that you can't see better than dry blood that you can see.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's almost like
that
we
is
walk
crazy.
outside and like you can kind of like smell
After
the
rain.
rain. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can smell the rain.
I always have this analogy or this theory with this. It's like if you're in the shower,
Yeah.
a nice little
Oh,
fart in the
yeah.
shower smells horrible.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
You know,
Yeah.
I thought you were
Bonfire,
going to say like
bonfire.
your body wash smells.
no, you let a juicy one go in the shower and it smells horrible.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not because you're in a little enclosed area and that it's just going up. It's because your nostrils are wet.
Yeah, like a bonfire. You get in the shower.
I know,
it's like,
dude. I'm not kidding.
stinks bad.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Dude, it's something else.
that is quite the analogy.
Yeah,
So we've got some questions from our Instagram here, and so I'm just gonna go through a couple of these and see where it goes. So we got one from. Should I say the username?
Yeah.
Nah. All right. So we got our first question is how to hunt thick timber.
Oh, there you go.
Throw that one out.
Brandon's a big timber guy.
Yeah.
All I
What do
hunt
you
is thick,
think?
man. I
Yeah.
hunt thick to the point where when I'm good out to like almost 70 yards with my bow. Like my farthest bow kill was 67 yards, and when I got you're Matthew's guy too. I don't know what you are,
Bowtie.
Protect, but you got
Magic.
we got the divide's right here now. So, when I got my bow, I was like, I want to go out west. I want to kill an elk. That's a 100-yard shot. Got to be up to 100-yard shot, good, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully not, but I want to be good up to that range. However, where I hunt now, it's like these big bucks, man. If I kill them, they're gonna be 8 yards in front of me.
Yeah.
Thick timber. How do you hunt it? For one, cover or scent control, cover scent.
See, I'd say hunting, you know, if you've got a good access route to a really thick spot, go for it. But if you can't get in there without being quiet,
You gotta wait for the right opportunity.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Or hunt the outskirts.
Outskirts is huge.
You gotta know where the deer are moving through. You gotta know where they like to travel.
If you find a buck's bedroom,
Mm.
like a literal buck's bedroom, you can always tell what it is because it's just destroyed. It's an area, it's a small area, and I'm talking like as big as this building, as big as my cabin. Like it's a small area. For me, when I usually find them, they're under some hemlocks or pines, and every single tree close by is destroyed with grubs, and there's just beds everywhere, and you can see giant buck shit left and right, and it's like this is where he's going every day at the end of the day, and I would never go near that.
Right.
Stay on the outside of that.
Yep.
And if you're doing an early season, you know, go between there and
During
his
the
feet.
rut, though, get right in there, man. I think if you can get right in there, start during the rut, the bucks are gonna cruise and look for those dead beds.
Right.
Go for it.
But besides that, getting into thick timber, if you got to get in there, you got to go on the right wind.
Yep.
And if you can get in there quietly, maybe you can get in there midday or something when he's not around,
Yep.
and wait for him to come back.
Or in the
and you can-
mornings, you know, depending on the area. Like, you know, the area I hunt's ag. You know, if they're out in the ag fields and
Right.
sneak in there. In the morning.
Right, so get there while he's feeding.
Right.
Hope to come,
Yep.
you catch him on the way back in.
Yep.
If you're gonna hang some stands in there, maybe do that, like we were just saying, when it's raining or something of that sort, and just set some shooting lanes up.
Yeah.
It's the best thing. I mean, shooting lane. I'll take, you know, those little saws that you can get,
Mm-hmm.
keep them in your pack. I'll take that and I'll tie it to a stick. I'll tape it to a stick and get way up there. Put all these branches
I
down.
will say if he's hunting that during the rut, like thick stuff is a perfect time to rattle him from. Like,
I love that. Yeah.
Like, especially like sitting on the ground, you can make it so much more realistic just breaking branches.
Be on the ground. Like when you're rattling and you're on the ground and you're moving twigs, like be as loud as you can.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, it messes with your head because you're like, I gotta be quiet. I'm hunting. I gotta be quiet. But if you're rattling, like, make some ruckus.
That's a great time.
Yeah, that's
like timber.
You know, if you're in a thick spot and you're rattling, the buck's not gonna be as easily able to locate, pinpoint, where the noise is coming from.
Yeah.
Bucks are great at knowing exactly where.
They'll know that you're in the tree.
Right.
Yeah, I was actually watching a video on that. It was like point your gut towards the ground.
Have you seen, back in the day, they used to sell these really long tubes.
Really?
Basically, like, these guys were taking PVC pipe and going from their tree stand down and hitting a 90, and they would grunt into that PVC pipe, so then it would sound like it was coming from ground level. And I was like, that's kind of smart.
Everybody's like my dad, he's like, these deer are not smart, they're deer. No, they get big because
buck are so good at pinpointing where you're rattling from or grunting from that, like, that's why they say don't ever do it when they're looking at you.
Yep.
And you can do that from far away, and they can often pinpoint the exact tree. So they don't always look up, but they'll go to the base of your tree and be like, where is he? I know he's right here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm doing this thing right now.
You know what's funny? This year I was hunting on a spot, and I hung stand the night before, hunted it, came back in there in the morning, and I had a spike come in, and I took some doe estrus and I sprayed it in the trees around me. I like to do that during the rut, but it's not abnormal for a deer to smell doe and estrus. And this little spike came in, and I've never seen a deer's nostrils suck in so much air. Like, I could literally hear him sucking in the air, like, trying to find. He knew something was up.
Yep.
But he just couldn't pinpoint it.
Right.
You know? And that's just a spike, you know.
I'm doing this thing right now that it's so stupid. My buddy shot his first buck this year, and I went and helped him, and I skinned the whole thing for him. No, it was dumber than that. I told you about this a little bit, but I just started the video of it. I skinned the whole thing, and I caped it, and I did the Euro for him, but I caped it out perfectly. I'm going to, in the most butchered up way, you know what I'm getting at now? You know what I'm getting at now?
Yeah.
Taxidermize. I'm gonna tan the whole thing.
Tan the hide?
I've never done that before.
That's cool. I want to get into that.
Listen, no. It's
Oh god.
I'm gonna full body mount this thing.
That's cool.
And I'm gonna bring it out there as a decoy.
No, that's
with
awesome.
googly eyes. I'm gonna stuff it with spray foam and pillows. Yeah. Dude, it's the thing. He shot it through the leg too, so like it's missing one leg. So I'm just gonna put a stick in it, like, and I'm gonna bring this thing out there. I'm basically gonna tan it just by salting the heck out of it. Like,
I think during the rut though, a deer is just so messed up in the mind that I wouldn't notice.
My target buck, when he bedded next to me, the only thing I got him out of his bed is when a 4-point walked by and he charged that thing out of there. And I realized that day if I had a decoy on me, he would have went right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna get this thing, and it's gonna probably be absolutely disgusting when I'm done with it. And I'm not saying disgusting like good. This thing's it's gonna be bad. And I'll show you guys the first thing I ever taxidermied here in a second. But
I think it'll work.
I'm gonna put googly eyes on him. I'm gonna find like some horns, something. Put them on him, and I'm gonna put probably rebarb in his legs, stick him in the ground out there. I'm gonna video.
You should take one of your mounts and throw it.
I thought about using the front half of one of these, and the back half of this thing, but no, dude. And so I started making a video. I've been filming it, and I said in the intro of it, like, this is what my plan is, and I'm gonna take this thing out there next fall and try to shoot a deer with it.
I think you should.
That'd be awesome.
I think that's.
We talked about doing that. We talked about using literally a bow target to decoy deer.
Yeah.
I think it would be awesome.
I've had deer during the rut. I was at my buddy's house. Look at that thing. That's awesome. Something the dogs brought.
No, that's sweet.
A little 4-point came up, 20 yards away.
Put that out
and
there.
didn't even care. Deer just during the rut, they don't care.
No, they don't.
They got their mind on one thing, and then they don't.
Until you shoot at them, and then they're like, "Holy shit!"
What other questions we got from the
The
people?
next one is we already hit on this a little bit, but maybe we got some more to say. It's, what do you consider cheating in hunting? Baiting, doe urine, electronic calls, etc.
I've never heard of an electronic deer call.
Yeah, goose hunting, I've heard of them. I mean, you can only use them during snow goose in New York. I don't think that you should be able to use them. And goose calls are so easy to use.
Yeah.
Literally. But,
It comes down to that principle of fair shakes.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
You know, it's like,
Baiting.
do you have an unfair advantage? And everybody has like a different line that they draw to that question.
Right. I mean, I think baiting's definitely unfair, not fair chase. Honestly, I think gun hunting is borderline fair chase. Because you can shoot a deer 300 yards away. You know, bow hunting is one of the hardest things to do, and that deer's close, and it's got every opportunity in the world to find out that you're there.
Yeah.
And calls, you know, you use them only certain portions of the season. Like I only grunt or rattle very seldom.
See, that's the difference. Is like, I love to grunt rattle. Like, I'll grunt
It's
rattle.
because you're a turkey hunter.
And yeah. So, see, I'm loud
He's
turkey
a
hunter.
goose hunter.
Loud turkey hunter,
Right.
soft.
Right. That's exactly what the issue is. There.
Yeah.
You and I think sometimes all you're doing is telling them where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But that just comes down to figuring it out over time. And
It's got to be the right situation for me to be vocal in any way.
Yeah.
do you ever blind grunt?
Very,
I've had a
very
lot,
rarely.
Really?
a
I
lot
do
of-
sometimes.
I do
I
it
do
probably
during
every
the
time I
rut.
hunt.
Yeah.
Well, not now, later season. I mean, around the rut, I probably blind grunt every time. Every time.
Really.
Yeah.
See, I like blind rattling. I think that works very.
I only rattle if the wind's in the right direction. I know that it's next to impossible for that deer to get behind me without exposing it.
I will go.
So you think like gun hunting is kind of like gray area?
I
fair
do,
chase?
honestly.
Do you gun hunt?
I do.
Okay.
That's the thing. I
So
still do.
so you feel that way, but you don't necessarily draw the line.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
where do you draw the line? What crosses the line of fair chase?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
Baiting.
Baiting.
I think
Yeah.
baiting's just ultimately not acceptable.
It,
Right.
It's funny because
Right.
baiting is like.
And people might say,
common in, like,
what's
so
the
many
big deal having a
states,
small
like the
pile?
big states you hunt
what's it gonna
whitetail.
do?
That's legal in some states.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
like
really?
what is
Texas and stuff.
Kentucky?
There's a lot. Yeah. Where
Kentucky,
like
whatever.
mainly you hunt over bait piles.
Yeah, that doesn't seem
Ohio.
fair to me.
Would you say you were anti-hunter when you were vegan?
I was at one
Yeah.
point. At one point, it was I've always kind of like been pretty fluid in my belief. Like I've evolved a lot over time. So
Right.
even it was a 4-year period that I was vegan. So from day one to day, whatever, 1,000 is.
Were you
big change.
open-minded or
So-
no?
So always open-minded.
Yeah.
Always open-minded. I was always looking for like what's true. I didn't always have it, but
Right.
I was always looking for that.
So at the point in time
So at
when
one
you
point I
were,
was anti-hunter, and in the later, once I became friends with him and started hearing his point of view, I wasn't so much anti-hunter.
I think you'd be the best person to answer this question. Honestly.
To answer this question,
Yeah. What do you
I mean,
think?
maybe.
Somebody who's
I agree with you that I think that gun is kind of a gray area.
Yeah.
I feel that because it's borderline easy.
right. I'll do it to pack my fridge.
I don't know if it's
That's what I was
easy,
saying.
Yeah.
but it is like compared to bow hunting, it's different.
Yeah.
It's way different.
Well, there's also the people that, like my father, cannot pull a bow back.
That's different
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
My
Somebody
dad
who gets
can't.
hurt and can't bow hunt, and go out with a crossbow, okay, whatever. If you can pull back a bow and you're just too lazy to spend the time, if you can't afford a bow and it's cheaper for you to go with a crossbow, okay, whatever. But if
Are
you,
crossbows cheaper than a bow?
yeah,
Oh,
you can buy a crossbow for $200 or $300.
Like a
yeah,
good one?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
one that shoots faster than our bows.
yeah.
Yeah.
Crossbows terrify me
Yeah.
for the sake of how skinny they're making them now
Yeah,
and how wide a truck window is.
yeah.
It's
Seriously.
true. I was gonna say I've never shot a crossbow. I've taken one out once when my grandpa was alive, and they were like just becoming like the new big thing. And he was
Like when they
"Hey, man."
became legal here. It wasn't
Yeah.
that long ago.
No, he's like, take it out, man. And I was like, all right. And then like once I killed my first deer with a bow, it was like, I'll never go back. Last year I hunted all gun season with a bow. There was except for opening day. Opening day I took a gun.
There's something, rewarding and thrilling about shooting with a bow, and on top of that, whenever I shoot a deer with a gun, there's like they either pile or they run, and you don't get that even same blood trail. And they're so like I love tracking.
Yeah.
Like I would rather a deer pile up 100 yards away where I don't see it fall than 20 yards in front of me, so I can have that thrill. And this is a selfish thought, right? But like so I can have that thrill of I want to like test my skill now and track this thing down.
Yeah, it's
You know?
it like kind of comes back like to the atmosphere of it all, of like you call that buddy and you're like, hey man, I just shot a big buck, like
Well,
let's go look for it.
To go out with a gun, it does take some sort of skill.
Yeah.
Doesn't take much skill.
No.
It's not with bow hunting. You have to be 1,000% intentional with everything that you do.
Yeah.
And even if you're not, you will get lucky once in a while. You know, blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. But like you have to be intentional about everything that you do when it comes to bow hunting. Scent, wind, when you're gonna draw back, where your shot placement is, everything about it you're intentional about.
Yeah, like you were telling me this year, it's like kind of like read the deer's body language.
Yeah.
Like
Always.
that deer would have been fine. Like he would have walked out there, moseyed, ate some greens,
Yeah.
and fine. It's like something that takes years to learn. Like it really does.
Deer's body language is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like if you see a deer coming in tense and you shoot an arrow at that thing's probably gonna jump your string and you're not
Yeah.
gonna hit it because your arrow's gonna go under it or over it.
Yeah.
Deer duck arrows a lot.
Yeah. This is the first year that I've ever had a deer duck my arrow.
Yeah.
Actually.
We're also shooting heavier arrows this year. So
Yeah,
That was something
very.
that I saw you guys talked about.
Yeah.
What do you? I shoot the FMJ, Easton FMJ.
That's what I'm shooting. I've got a
The
50
340s.
grain, or it's a 75 grain brass and 150 grain broadhead.
So
Total weight's over 500 pounds. About
Yeah, I think
550
I'm-
pounds. Or sorry, 550
Great.
grains.
That is a lot.
Strong.
I don't have that insert, so I think I'm at like 485.
Yeah.
That's what I'm running is 480.
What kind of broadheads do you shoot here?
I shoot. Oh boy. I shoot
This is a good job.
swackers.
Here we'll put the
Yeah.
divide here because you guys are all single blade.
Yeah.
You guys are all
What do you
non-mechanical, right?
I shoot a fixed broadhead. I don't know the brand.
Fixed
I
broadhead.
don't remember. But yeah.
Swackers,
And you shoot right?
flatheads.
I always carry a fixed on me. I shoot per situation.
Gotcha.
If I'm in the thick, and if I am in a situation that I can't control every variable,
Mhm.
I'm shooting a fixed broadhead. If I'm in a situation where I'm shooting a field or a very, very open, then I shoot rage. Because I do trust my shot placement, and I do think that you get a lot more damage with a mechanical, and blood trails are a lot more with a
They
mechanical.
can be more forgiving if you hit an animal in a spot that you need that couple extra inches.
Right. And so if it's a situation where I don't trust, like if I have to shoot through something like maybe this deer's vitals are after some goldenrod or something, or after some sapling twigs or something, I'm gonna shoot a fixed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shoot a fixed.
Now, if you watch, like I watch Jewelry Outdoors, a lot of these big name hunting brands, they're all sponsored by Rage Broadheads. And
Right.
they don't get pass-throughs on deer.
No, they
These are
don't at all.
professional
And you'll
shooters.
see. So if you guys go help me with this doe tonight, I found it already.
Mhm.
I found it. And you guys were gonna be here like 15 minutes later, so I rushed home.
Mhm.
It's not a pass through,
Right.
and it's a rage,
Yeah.
and it's not a pass through.
That's, I feel like crazy. I feel like you should be getting pass-throughs.
See, that was the
I'm
biggest
shooting
thing.
70 pounds.
Exactly.
That was
I
the
feel like
biggest
it's
thing though. When I
15-yard
was
shot.
growing up was like you didn't want to pass through. Like when I was growing up, you didn't want to pass through because you wanted that broadhead to stay in there and cut more.
cut more, yeah.
And then the more I've like thought and like watched videos and stuff, it was like you want that pass through. Like
There wasn't
the
much
hunting-
blood today.
Yeah, the
This is
hunting
that deer. There was not much
I
blood.
lost
rage
2
is
deer
either
shooting
commercial
range last year.
or non-commercial. Like
Yeah.
you either have a ton of blood or no blood.
Pass-throughs
Yeah.
key.
Yeah.
You need pass-through.
Yep, I agree.
You got another question there?
I do. So the next question is thoughts on moving to an antler restriction statewide in New York State.
Oh, God.
Oh, my
bless.
buddy Andy Vaught asked that question. I
Please.
played football with him growing up.
I hope they do.
He
Yeah,
got a
they
nice
do.
bow.
I do, yeah.
All right, why is that?
I think there'd be much larger deer in the area. Now, if you got a first-time hunter going out, or somebody, junior hunter, I think it's acceptable to shoot a small deer.
Agreed. I think your first deer should be whatever deer you
Right.
feel the right to shoot.
Like a 4-point doesn't get me excited. Doe, honestly, doesn't get me excited, but I'll shoot him for the meat. Now the issue with gaining that antler restriction is young deer or dumb deer, right? So you're going to get that 2-year-old 8-point, small 8-point. Great genetics, obviously. He's an 8-point at 2 years old. He's going to get killed because he's dumb and he's doing his thing.
Right.
So your younger bucks that have great genetics are going to get killed off sooner. But because those are the deer that people can shoot. But yeah, I think we should definitely move to an antler restriction. Part of New York State is, has antler restrictions.
There are certain areas that have it, yeah.
But we don't.
Right.
What would that cutoff be?
I think it's 3 and
3 on each side. 3 on one side.
Yeah, 3 on one side.
So
3 scoreable points on one side. So.
Yeah.
I don't know where I draw the line with this debate. I want to instinctively say, yeah, throw the restriction out because I already restrict personally.
Yeah, same here.
So it's easier for me to say, yeah, let's make an antler restriction because I know I'm not going to shoot the spike or the 4-point.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't really change anything.
However, but I am cautious, or I'm conscious of the other hunters out there that are not, they don't give a damn about the horns.
Nope.
And they're just like, I just want to get out there, like, if they can get out there and shoot a deer and not waste any more of their time, great. And also, I don't know about you guys, but I basically call myself retired every fall. I don't work at all. I just hunt, dude.
Seriously.
I just hunt.
I switch to the night shift during the fall. And
You
I
do
hunt.
that specifically
Yeah.
so you can hunt,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
And so there's people out there that only get 4 sits a year
Yeah.
because all they do is rifle hunt. It's about a month long.
Right.
They get Saturdays
Yep.
because even Sundays are going to church and they can't even hunt, right? So they hit 4 sits a year. They're gonna shoot anything that they can, and I'm all for them doing that. Fill your freezer. You're paying as much as I am to do it, so
Yeah.
I don't know where I lie with that.
The hard thing is too, like, I think if it gets you excited and you get that rush.
At the end of the day, that's what matters.
Exactly.
That's what
Unless
matters
you're
at the end of the day.
Yeah. But if
No.
you're just going out, if it's brown, it's down, I don't like that.
Well, there's also a difference between I don't want to see people going out and taking unethical shots.
Yeah.
There's people that are like, I haven't seen a deer all year, then a deer goes running, they're like, oh, boom, on a running shot, and they wound it and have to find it, and it's like, that deer's dead now anyway.
Right, what was the point?
If there was a lot more deer around, people were seeing more deer, they wouldn't take unethical shots, they would have more patience.
Yep.
Patience is important when it comes to ethical hunting.
Mm-hmm.
But
What do you think about deer drives?
I don't like them.
No.
I hate them, and I was on my first one this year.
Yeah.
Really?
Back on the fair chase question, I'm not educated enough on it. I've never been involved in one.
Yeah.
I know it's the way that people hunted for years.
Yeah.
That was like the way people
Back in
hunted.
the day,
that's-
large.
And
That's
so,
what our parents did.
like
Yeah.
on one hand, it doesn't seem like fair chase because you're forcing these deer to move to a spot, and so you're not really playing their game at that point.
Right.
You really are like. I don't think it's necessarily fair chase.
I mean,
However,
I'm sure you.
Again, there are just different. I
Reasons
definitely
of-
have empathy for the guys that can only hunt a few times a year. You know,
Right.
like I get it. Like we talked about this on the podcast with Sam, and we're like, there's these farmers who they don't have the luxury of sitting out in the woods all day.
Yep.
They've got maybe an hour or two before they got to go back and feed the cows.
Yep.
So it's tough.
Yeah,
Stuff.
definitely. It is. There's a lot of tough questions.
Times are a lot different now. Like,
There's
back-
variables in anything, though.
Yeah.
There's exceptions in everything.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like my dad would say, like you drive by a field and see 70 deer, and like I'm sure you've seen pictures.
Dads always say that shit. Is it true?
Yeah, but
That's a
have
good
you-
question.
Have
Honestly.
you seen the
My dad
pictures
always
of
says,
like?
I used to drive across this hill, there'd be 300 deer out there,
Have
son.
you seen the pictures of like opening day though?
I know,
Back in the
there's
day.
like 14 dead bucks.
But
you
they
know,
were
like-
also probably driving. Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right.
Like it's like.
so I don't know if
totally
that's
different.
like because of the population was different or just because
We
the
were
hunting
talking about-
I feel like there's got to be more deer now than ever because they're issuing more doe management permits now than
I think there's more
think-
deer now than ever.
I had 6 tags this year total between
Yeah.
bucks and doe.
ever. Right.
I had 7.
There's got to be the population to maintain that, or they
Right.
wouldn't put it out.
Exactly.
I think that the whole hunting community around here, anyways, is switching.
Is what? I'm sorry.
Like switching.
Oh,
So
okay.
like the small deer are getting shot. Like so last year, I don't know what the percentage was, but this year it was 33% of deer of bucks, sorry, were shot less than or more than 3.5 years old. So only, or 2.5 years old actually.
So are you saying older deer are getting killed now? Or are you saying the opposite?
More and more each year.
I think so too. I think
So
the idea,
people are starting to wait. They're starting to
Yeah,
pass.
they're
more.
starting to pass
Yes.
and get the
I
bigger
think that's
deer.
our generation.
Yeah, you think Instagram for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Social media, no, you're right.
Yeah.
And there's always been, like in the past 20 years, there's been a huge decline in hunters.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's no hunters anymore, and it's starting to pick up again. And I think it's starting to pick up because of the Joe Rogans and the Meat
Yeah.
Eaters, the Steven Rinella podcast. They're the what they're putting out there. People are, and also I think people are also starting to realize like this world's going into shitty places,
Yeah.
and I need to learn this skill.
Yeah.
And someone goes out and kills their first deer, and they're like, "Wow, I have all this meat now.
Yeah.
Why was I not doing this before?"
And mature deer produces so much meat.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's like the social media thing is kind of like hurting like the younger community of hunters because it's like they want to kill that huge buck. Like they don't want to kill their first deer as a spike. They want to kill that huge buck. You know what I mean? So it's like tough for them because I haven't killed a huge buck for the
But
past.
I don't think that's a bad thing. That's good for them to have standards. Like
It
that.
is, but
Wait it out, and if anything, it's just going to teach them patience.
oh yeah, it is. But
And it's frustrating patience.
yeah, that's what I mean. It's
It can
like,
be absolutely frustrating, and it's also going to teach them skill because if a young kid is waiting for a big buck, they're going to have at some point in their life they're going to have encounters with a big buck,
Yeah.
and they're going to have mistakes, and they're going to be like, "Oh well, I guess I got to do that differently."
Oh,
next
yeah.
time,"
Yeah.
you know, tons of mistakes.
oh
I think that's what makes a hunter is mistakes.
yeah.
That's what makes you
100%.
realize I
That's
can
when
never
you
do
learn.
that again.
Every year I take a step back. Every hunt, even I was like, what did I learn?
Yeah, yeah. Even now I've made mistakes that I'm like, what the heck did I do that
It's
for? I've been hunting for deer hunting for 16 years now, and I'm like, what the heck did I do that for? Like
Yeah.
even this year, I'm like, I make dumb mistakes. My target buck, dude, I bumped him this year on a day where I was walking in like a jerk, like
Yeah.
just walking to my stand, and he was 30 yards in front of me where I could have shot him. And if I was being alert and watching my steps and making sure I wasn't being loud, like I was watching the ground to not be loud rather than watching in front of me. And if I was doing both, like I always do, like be alert, I'm in his area. Dude, he was 30 yards in front of me.
What part of the season was
Later October.
this? Yeah. Were you starting to get worn down mentally?
I've already been in there,
Yeah.
what was it, the 20th day of season? So that means I was 46.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you definitely just get worn down.
Today
mentally,
is
and
the
I think
first-
you start recognizing those little things, and everybody does it.
I've had dreams about this deer more than anything else.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like losing
A
sleep
big
like
deer
crazy.
will make a man do some crazy things. Like
Yeah.
deer season brings out the worst in some people.
Yeah.
We talked. Nate's realizing that this year for the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about it on your
People
guys' podcast, but
trespass,
it's
yeah,
bad.
crazy things.
Yeah.
It's the power of the horn.
Yeah,
It's insane.
really.
I can't wait.
Go ahead, man.
I can't wait for you guys. We should definitely get together and do some turkey hunts. We were actually
Yeah.
talking about this.
We're gonna have
You
to.
know what?
today.
This I got a piece of land, a couple pieces of land. I got permission to hunt, and there are two entire flocks of. One flock walked right by me in my stand, 30 hens, and there's another one that's even bigger, probably like 50.
You know, I think
all,
the
all
biggest
in the,
key to our turkey
within
hunting-
60 acres.
Yeah,
Sorry, no, within it's 100 acres.
I think the biggest key to our turkey hunting success is the amount of land we already
Yeah.
own.
Mhm.
And you want
Thousands of acres.
I've never got a
Literally.
turkey. I'm
Literally.
stoked
to
for
hear
May.
something very controversial?
What's that?
Is where you see turkeys in the fall, you won't see them in the spring.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
What
believe.
about-
I believe
fall.
that 100%.
Well, thanks for grabbing all of that.
Yeah, but
I've been seeing them like all the time.
You're like,
Alright, let's
thanks,
go. I
man.
can't
I
wait.
Yeah,
guarantee
that's
the
it.
field that you can hunt, they've seen turkeys out there because it's just known.
Mhm.
I'll just put it this way: you ever drive to North Valley and see turkeys?
Oh my! Every time.
Yeah.
You know where then.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this just worked out well because you guys were all from the same area and we all got to kind of do this, and you guys are doing the same thing we're doing. You guys started before us, you know, with outdoor content. I think we have a little bit different.
You know, I think now's the best time possible to be involved in producing outdoor video on YouTube
Mhm.
because nobody watches TV anymore.
Mhm.
Everything's switching over to YouTube.
And aside from that, man, I just want to make more outdoorsmen. I
Yeah.
think it's so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Not only just like the funding that creates for conservation and your local conservation,
Right.
and you know, like I tell everybody, whether you hunt or not, go out and buy a duck stand because all that money that's going towards your local wildlife, you know, of water, you know.
I've bought 4 of them and we haven't used them.
This
so,
year?
Yeah.
Well,
I bought 4
we'll
of
change
them,
that on
so-
that 4-day break.
Yeah,
in
don't
between
act like you
Christmas
bought them to fund the local. You bought them for me.
and they never
Yeah.
paid you back, did they?
No, they haven't.
Well, that's
no.
because
$100.
Yeah.
he had some things to buy.
That's a
There's a lot of hunters out there though, like me, that just weren't raised in a hunting family that are trying to learn. So,
Right.
you know, that's part of the demographic that we're trying to reach here is just people who just didn't, you know, like I had you in my life, like personally, to like go out physically in the woods. Not everybody has that even.
Well, even
so-
right down to when you shot your first deer with your bow.
Mhm.
And I was like, go find the arrow, wait there. I'll be there in 20
Yeah,
minutes.
there's a lot of people that have nobody to do this, but I think it's cool and interesting.
You know what terrifies me is the people that have nobody in their first gut job.
yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube, man. You can
You
learn
know you're
anything
going
on
straight through
YouTube.
that stomach on that first job,
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah,
You
either
know.
that or
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going down to the butt and you're like, ooh, what do I do here?
That's, yeah, that's always tricky business down there. You don't know what to do there.
Bring it out and pull. That's what I say.
Well, guys, I think that this is a good episode wrap up.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us,
I don't know if
Kevin.
there's
Yeah,
anything else you
I
thanks.
had,
guys
a, I
want
had a
to.
blast. We love filming podcasts. Dude.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to being on your guys's.
Yeah,
You want
it'll
to tell
be
them
fun.
again where they can find you so they can check you out?
Yeah, so go on YouTube and search Cutting the Distance Outdoors. The first video that's probably going to pop up is the very first video we did, which was a Deception Sense video. It's the one we had most of the views on. So
Yeah.
check us out. We'd love if you could like and subscribe. We do a lot of hunts on there, and we got a lot of content we're looking forward to bringing to you guys. So
I noticed your Sitka video had a lot of views.
Yeah, it
Everybody
does.
loves
Why
Sitka.
does everybody like Sitka?
Not everybody can afford Sitka.
That, don't say that because you'll start a lot of stuff between the group of us.
I don't wear Sitka.
I don't wear Sitka. I wear Huntworth.
Yeah.
I wear red plaid.
no, you
Fair
don't.
enough.
I don't know. I
Gun
wear,
hunter. Gun hunter.
Where I do not. I wear non-typical by Drake. So I like that line.
Yeah,
Alright.
they make some good calls.
They do. They do. It's right on the
Yeah,
bottom
so-
line of it.
So let everybody else know again where they can find you.
Yep, Cutting the Distance Outdoors, YouTube and Instagram.
Yep.
So
And
we
thanks for having
really
us,
appreciate
guys.
you guys to subscribe. We sincerely appreciate our followers. We try to shoot everybody a message that talks to us on Instagram, and our followers make us do it. So
Well, I'm sure moving forward we'll do a lot more collabs.
yeah,
Yeah,
We
definitely.
can definitely
Can't
do
wait
some
for
cool
turkey
stuff.
season.
Might as well.
And then we'll get you guys on. We'll do some goose hunts and stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, bring us out turkey hunting. Do something really cool.
If you
with
got
that.
a field, man, for goose hunting, let me know. We
I
got
got
7,000
one-
decoys.
I got
We'll
one
fucking
right
come out.
here. They're
Yep.
loaded. So yeah, I know we got to do some goose hunting. We usually goose hunt a lot, but this year I just didn't at all
Yeah.
because I've been
I
chasing this
haven't
ghost.
gone out.
You know, so
I rely on Brandon for that.
Most people do.
all right, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time on the Kanati Way podcast.